Spin me round again and rub my eyes. This can't be happening when busy streets a mess with people would stop to hold their heads heavy. Hide and seek. Trains and sewing machine. All those years, they were here first. Oily marks appear on walls where pleasure moments hung before the takeover, the sweeping insensitivity of this still life. Hide and seek. Trains and soaring machine, catch me around here. They were here first. What you say? That you only meant well, well, 'cause you did. What you say? That it's all for the best, 'cause it is. What you say? That it's just what we need. You decided this. What you say? What did she say? Some notes keep falling out your mouth. It's sweet talk music. People are calling. Speak no feeling, no. I don't believe in it. You don't care a bit. You don't care a bit. Some notes keep falling out your mouth. It's sweet talk music. People are calling. Speak no feeling, no. You don't care a bit. You don't care. You don't care a bit. You don't care a bit. You don't care a bit.
Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. To the stream. And we are in, I think, plugged in. Do I have all these files downloaded today? I don't know, but I saw them on my way. On my way. Out of the ashes, the phoenix makes it passes through nebulous gases and interdimensional passes. Do some faster. Da 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 ya da da ya da da ya da 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 da. say it ain't so. Left where the movie goes. So I say it ain't so. Left up where the movie goes. I'm breaking away. I left it where the movie goes. And the show. Meow. Heartbreak. Love to her heartbreak, yeah. Heartbreak, yeah. Well, loved her underground. No one made a sound. Hear me all around. Way too. Oh no. Windows. Is that what happens? Weird. Oh wait, is this not open to anything? It is not. I bet you I've been broken down. broke it down like this before. And I was seconds away from walking out that door. But then I looked around, and thought about all the things. 'Cause it takes a mountain to grow, and the wind sings. But it takes a mountain to make the wind sing. Can I do oh, I'm getting kicked because my laptop is connected. 'Cause it takes a mountain. 'Cause it takes a mountain to make the wind sing. Make the wind sing. Cause it takes a mountain. Takes a mountain to make the wind sing. Is this fast forwarding? That was weird. Perpetual motion in this explosion of the ocean. I think this is like favorite. Let's see what this does. Yeah. Wait a minute. You win it 10 tunnels in when we're standing over. It's just not a big step up underground. I'm gonna lurch this one. Big step up. Hey, Culprit, how's it going, dude? New aged rapper? Exactly. I don't even know the lyrics to that one. Thank you. How's your day been doing today, man? Cool. Well, this is the Chillin' channel. I got some permission from the Blestiny himself, the one who is not allowed back on Twitch, who I can bring to Twitch, to be the representer and do Bridges stuff on stream, which I think it's a lot of fun. So I was at Rackin R4K4N. Welcome. How you doing today? And we're just chilling. I'm not doing any major stuff right now, major editing. I'm doing a lot of prep work at the moment, so prepping just all the setups and stuff, but I'm sitting here all day anyways. I'm just doing work all day anyways. So if I'm gonna do work and I'm allowed to stream while doing work, I'm gonna do work and stream, you know. What's the work? Editing the Bridges podcast. We have some interesting people as guests. And like, I don't know. I still do, even though like I got permission, I still feel really weird about streaming it. You'll see if you hang out for 5-10 more minutes, we'll start playing it. Go look up Bridges. Actually, I can post the podcast anyways here. Let's see if I get the link. These, I think this is these are the ex-cult members. I think. Scientology. I think this is the Scientology one. So we're gonna. Yeah, it's I got permission. Yeah. It's the Scientology guys. I think they. I have no idea what I'm getting into. I have no idea what any of us are getting into. So in a small bit here, we'll take a look. Just gotta close down a bunch of this stuff. Make sure we got all this imported. While we're sitting here, I actually have to download. I got so much stuff to do. Hopefully the music's not too loud. I'm jamming today. We're hanging. We're chilling. We're doing all anyway. Normally, you probably haven't been to my streams. I try to make my streams like relatively entertaining. Man, you're new to Twitch, but this app is overwhelming. Oh well, welcome into Twitch. Throw me a follow. I don't know if you have followed yet. That kind of thing. Enjoying the Kai stream, Kai Sanat. Oh, and he came here. We're equivalent. Right? We're the same. Thank you for the follow. Exactly. I don't have quantity, but I got quality here. I'm just trying to think. I'm getting too caught up. I'm getting lost. I'm like ADHD brain today. I'm not sure whether it's I didn't sleep long enough or something, but my head is not all here right now. I need to download the Bridges podcast. Why is my date cut off? 11/25. 11/25. There we go. 14. Actually, that's not super long. Take me to the moon and back. Moon and back. Take me to the moon and leave me there. Okay, that's downloading. I play DayZ. I do play DayZ. That is so good. Okay, it's... I don't know if it's off sync. No. It's just... we're just listening to piano music. Maybe... I don't know if my audio is out of sync with the music. Shouldn't be. Like, if I was a time, I... 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3. Yeah, I'm just singing over top of it. Many years of being a musician. Hopefully I'm not that bad. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies. Let the bodies hit the floor. Sorry, okay. That's on download. We're good. What do I play as a musician? Can't see it. Let's see if I can get it. Come on, show it. Come on. See? Keys. Yeah, I play piano. I have a guitar. You probably can't see. There's a guitar on the wall. It's fun. It takes a lot of work to get into though, like because of strings. I guess most instruments do, but it's one of the ones when you fall off from it, you don't necessarily get it back really quick. You have to like work back into it. Bum, bum, bum. The thing is too, the reason why like a lot of music is actually the exact same chords, the same chord structure. So, and the same, it's all 4/4, so you can usually slot in any type of music you want to it. You know, so. Sound. Cause I could do something. Oh, yeah. I'm Slim Shady, yes, I'm the real Shady. All you other Slim Shadys are just imitating. So, won't the real Shadys stand up? Please stand up. I'm Slim Shady, yes, I'm the real Shady. All your other Slim Shadys are just imitators. So, won't the real Slim Shady please stand up? Still don't get the difference. Oh, acoustic and super easy to understand. So acoustic is just a guitar that makes sound by itself. Electric is a guitar you have to put an electric cable into. That's it. So what happened to Destiny? What do you mean what happened? Like what happened? Why he got banned? He got banned for this. Destiny ban leak. You're not. I'm supposed to be doing work, but you're still gonna distract me. That's fine. We'll do this. Do they say no? Well, no. It's because like an electric guitar, you get the sound from the strings. You just hear the string sound. You hear a little bit of the body, a little bit, but it's just the string sound. Or an acoustic guitar, you hear the body. That guitar's out of tune, but let me show you. Let me show you the clip that got him banned. Hold on. No, I'm fine. We got lots of time. It's like a 2-hour video. It takes me a day. Like I do it in about a day. So, what? I can do it in 2 hours. But we got like all day, anyways. Let me show you. Here we go. Pause the music. This is the clip that got him banned. Oh wait. Am I just gonna be clipceptioned? It was leaked. The link was leaked, and then they actually took it down. Hold on. Restream. Oh yeah, you're allowed to. So the reason why you're allowed to is because Hasanabi, this guy couldn't stop talking about it. Wait, is he streaming right now? No, he's not.
Indeed, boo.
Okay, so Hasanabi kept talking about him all the time, and he was banned. And then one time, what he did is he played one of Steven's like interviews, but Hassan put his camera over top of Steven. And they're like, oh, yeah, you can talk about fine. We give up. Okay, I need the restream link. Oh, maybe I can just find it on YouTube. Let me take a look. It is Destiny ban clip. The clip that got Destiny banned.
This is the clip that I was permabanned for. That's in my file.
So I think that Destiny.
Hold on, where is it? Where's the actual clip? Is there like a time? Oh, fucking August videos, dude. This, whatever. We're gonna watch XQC.
Your one-on-one voice trans debates lately have gone well. Don't cancel. It's just not worth it. That community is never worth engaging with. There's just no point in doing it. Like it's the risk of me like ending up getting like permabanned and my life destroyed because of these like inbred fucking disgusting losers is like it's just not worth it. It's just totally not worth it. Your one-on-one voice trans debates lately have gone well. Don't cancel. It's just not worth it. That community is never worth engaging with. There's just no point in doing it.
Oh yeah, I can't bring him on, but he's not on my stream.
The risk of me like ending up getting like permabanned and my life destroyed because of these like inbred fucking disgusting losers is like it's just not worth it. It's just totally not worth it.
It's because he called trans people inbred, disgusting fucking losers. But he didn't call trans people inbred, disgusting fucking losers. He called a very specific group of people that attack and use really shitty tactics to go after people, like clip chimping people, like kind of like that, and then using it to go after Twitch's wokeness. If you said this about Jews, nobody cares. Okay, like if I said this about if I said that the Zionist Jews are all inbred pieces of shit, and they're disgusting, like nobody cares on Twitch. But because he was doing the whole trans thing at the time, permabanned, and this is a leak. This is like the leaked. There was no reason given. There was no nothing. So that is why. And he fights with Mr. Hasanabi all the time. So like he's too right for the left and too left for the right kind of thing, you know? So it's yeah. To be honest, you should be president. Yeah, there's probably a lot more quality. Probably a lot more qualified than. I don't know. I don't know. I'm Canadian. Okay, I have no say on American companies or politics. No. Anyways, this will be an interesting. This is going to be a really interesting podcast. I got a feeling. We will. I think we're almost ready here. That is done processing. Back to resolve. Ad. You can text. You can text during ads. Is there a better way for me to keep chat up? Not really. Actually, I can bring chat up this way. I go to Twitch. We go to my channel. We go to live. Tap on that. Hopefully, chat only. Oh, no, wait. It's pulling up clips. There we go. There we go. Twitch chat. You guys are with me now. Okay. Okay. I think we are good. Okay. Original clips, open in timeline. Let's take a look. We have. Oh, I should have detected from the same camera, and then I wouldn't have this issue. But we grab the last few. So what I'm gonna do, I'll just try and explain what I'm doing while I'm doing it. I'm basically gonna try to put together all of the clips that are sent into a nice, easy to move and use format or setup. So that just means like aligning all the audio, aligning all the cameras. I think I can just like grab these and add up one. Yeah. Grab this. Oh no, wait. I can just move angle up. Move angle up. Move angle up.
I'll probably start screaming.
And then we're going to rename this to. We're going to rename this to main mics. Okay.
That's the one thing about YouTube. You realize, like, well, you know, it's like.
And we have our multicam set up. Then we go timelines, create new timeline. Then we do basically Patreon. What was the names again? Aaron, Smith Levin, and Jenna. Aaron, Jenna. And then we're gonna do that. Then now that we have the multicam, we can. Oh no way! Wait, what? Wait, oh, is this an update? That's a huge Oh my god! I hope they did this because of me. So I was having a problem before where I had to like go in and manually change the audio tracks.
General, and I usually talk more about like.
But they split them into audio. Guys, this is so good. This is so good. Okay, can I add?
Why I feel like if he's asking general Scientology.
Where do we start?
Laughing a little bit. And
History.
Yeah.
And I was
Sometimes my audience will get mad because like, oh, you did that show. Why didn't you tell us? It's like, okay, here it is.
Dominating.
I imagine that when you go around and do shows, it's always like, do you find
Oh
yourself
no,
putting
Steven,
yourself-
did you not do a proper intro? I'm be so mad after I just sent him a fucking message about doing a proper intro. Okay, what are we gonna do first? I'm trying to think of how I'm gonna deal with this. First, I think, oh no, I do have to do a transcript on this, guys. I'm very sorry. We're gonna be, it's a few more seconds here. Back in 2 seconds, someone just walked in. What's the playlist I had on before? The lo-fi one? We're gonna play it here. It's just one big song that I have. It's from Nana, N-A-N-A, which is the account. And it's chill, lo-fi, hip-hop mix, study, work, relax. So we're gonna keep playing this here. I'm gonna be just 2 seconds. Stick by. Hang out. What? No, it's fine. Okay. I'm back. Really? Is this gonna take 13 minutes? It's gonna take, okay. The transcript is gonna take like, maybe like 10 minutes. So, we're just gonna, pop over the desktop. This one should be the Bridges recording. Is it?
Over to the hospital and picking up a new body.
Yeah.
Living lifetime after lifetime with full amnesia of your previous lives.
Mom, no. Okay. Door's closed. I love my mom, but living at home. One second. Kills me. It's always when I leave too. I come out to say hi to her because I hear her pop in the door, and then as soon as I'm like, okay, we're done. Like, she wants to do stuff. Okay. All right. I think this is.
And that
Yeah, this is all the audio recorded for everything.
There around.
How's the camera look today? Camera looks pretty nice. I think she's a bit out of focus.
It's like society or like peer pressure.
Steven is very
or
crispy.
many,
Yeah, she's a little bit out of focus.
At that point, it's just easier and more comfortable.
I don't like that for a lot of things in life, people don't consider the chances of them that, like, wow, you know, like, we'll sit here and we'll think, like,
Okay, we're gonna take a look at that. Let's go watch some YouTube videos for a minute or two while the thing is rendering. This is, yeah, the sky in the background of the video. Yeah. Well, he's got a cool, like, an ND filter over top of
listen, these are persona non gratas. What is it, the
up
ladder?
of the back, and so he overexposes down below, and then it gets a really nice colored window. It used to be really bad. Like, I can show you. Like, if I go one of these ones,
And this is just the beginning.
No, you can't.
give me.
We talked a little bit about the idea of like the pair.
Sometimes I wish people.
Yeah, this was like. This is pretty bad at one point. Or like, was it?
Shaolin monks are incredibly. What's the right?
No, this one was pretty good. I can't remember which one it was. One of the ones is like white. It's like a totally. Anyways, whatever. It got pretty bad at sometimes. Everything feels really sluggish. Well, I guess I'm rendering out stuff right now. 10 minutes. Look at this sucker. Look what this doing transcripting does to your PC. Performance. Can it run Crisis? But can it run Crisis? Like, if I go to my CPU, look what it does. The transcripting is all over the place. And this is like a 4080. My room is actually getting really warm with that going. Anyways, yeah, let's go over. Do. Mr. Beast responds to crypto at what? Mr.
I
Beast?
secretly interviewed Mr. Beast after he refused to answer my question.
This computer was actually the old server. I don't know if you play Minecraft. We actually have like a Minecraft server that we used to run. We still do run. It's still up and running. I actually gave power to an admin, but it used to be the old server that I had, and I needed a PC upgrade, so I was just like, yeah, you know what? I think that's the chat, by the way, is for the Minecraft server. I'm like, I'm just gonna yoink that server and use it as my own. And now we're using the old PC as a server. It still works perfectly, but you know.
Questions in my investigation a few days ago. Now we have Oompaville, who Mr. Beast decided to do the tell-all interview with, and I was able to ask a handful of follow-up questions. I think it was 2 or 3 questions at the end of the video through Oompaville. I just wrote up a Google Doc because I had a feeling that they weren't going to be properly addressed. So we're going to go over those responses a bit out of order, in the order that I think is the most interesting, actually, because unfortunately, because of how it was filmed and then the follow-up questions were asked.
Okay, come on, tell me something.
And this is all like video, obviously.
I bought a bunch. I bought quite a few. I bought multiple ones. I've already sold quite a few.
Well, I should wait till the summarize, whatever. Okay, when I want, I don't know. I'll
Seem
watch
to have
this
been
whole
made
thing.
by him.
On a podcast with Logan Paul about CryptoPunks, you talk about a call you had with Mr. Gary, where you claim to have bought and or sold CryptoPunks, but then later decided to roll the money into VFriends. And this is all like video, obviously.
I bought a bunch. I bought quite a few. I bought multiple ones. I've already sold quite a few of them. So then I'm
Is
rolled
there
the
a
money
way to
into
make
VFriends.
stream float?
And
for those
this
mini
trading
windows
activity
to
all
watch?
happened
I-
within
yeah,
the
they're
Wu-Tang
even, like-
wallet, which we talked about last
Hold on one
night.
sec.
Yes.
So
What am I doing?
So
my
if it
tablet's
was your
upside down, that's
decision,
why
you know,
it's
if we're, semantically, if what you're talking about on the podcast, if it
Are you
was your
talking about
decision,
just
your trading
the,
decision to buy and sell the punks or VFriends, even though you didn't press the buttons, was it actually your decision? It still, to me, would mean
That
that
floating
you
window?
had control of those trading decisions.
Yeah, these are good questions. Actually, I'm glad we're doing this
Oh,
follow-up thing.
oh, you're
so we
talking
can
about
also
no,
just
in
put
the
all
app. Yeah, you can do that. You actually have to go in the app down to a setting. It's in like the resolution. If you go to the resolution setting, you'll actually see in the in like the quality settings and stuff like that. There's a pop-out window.
this stuff out there. So, yeah, I did say that on the podcast, and I obviously did not press the buttons. Like I've been saying, I didn't pick what punks to buy or anything. Gary Vee, like I said on that podcast, called me and a bunch of other people, said crypto punks are the next big thing. I thought it was pretty crazy, but you know, the first thing I did
What
right
are
after that
CryptoPunks
is just
at?
called the guy in charge of the fund who invested.
On like on the app or on the website itself. I don't know at the website. I have no idea.
Invested my money and it's other people's money as well, and just said, hey, Gary Vee, you seem very passionate about these punks. You should look into it. If it makes sense, buy it. And so, you know, he did the research, picked
The
what
website,
punks to
yeah,
buy,
yeah, I
bought
don't
them.
know.
That's
I'm
kind of
sorry
high
about
level
that.
how it went. But, you know, if he was like, oh, this is a shit investment, then he wouldn't have bought them. So,
All right, I cannot tell you how weird this answer is in hindsight because you basically have to completely disbelieve what Jimmy
No,
says
you know
in
what?
2021.
If you bought those punks early, you're still up. You're still making a lot of money. Not during this big fucking bull run, obviously. That was too much.
To believe this story where he got this call from Gary Vee and he calls Jason. He goes, if this fits within our trading strategy in the fund, maybe buy some. But you rewind a little bit. Mr. Beast is on Twitter saying, I bought this CryptoPunk. He's on the podcast saying, I bought multiple CryptoPunks.
I bought a bunch.
He's on the podcast saying, I sold.
I've already sold quite a few of them.
I rolled the money into VFriends.
So then I'm rolled the money into VFriends.
And then even more crazy, he says he specifically bought certain CryptoPunks because he liked their attribute, like the cigarette one. He's like, I like the cigarette CryptoPunk.
The cigarettes, because I thought that was an interesting attribute.
But here he's saying, oh, I didn't even know which ones to buy.
I don't know which punks to buy or which ones we should buy
Yeah, but he can say this. He can say both.
if it's a good investment.
Like real special
Yeah,
ones.
I had some.
Yeah,
that,
he's just
like,
memeing. He's like, whatever. Yeah, you just fucking.
What's a
we bought a lot with like the cigarettes because I thought
Cool.
that was an interesting attribute.
Well, which is it? I feel like if he's telling the truth now, then he was just blatantly lying then. And if he was telling the truth then, he's blatantly lying now or just trying to distance himself from this. I feel like I understand why, because the more he was kind of directing Jason, obviously the worse all of this stuff looks. But I think it's impossible to get away from the fact that Mr. Beast in 2021 was clearly in some type
Come
of
on, hurry up.
contact
Hurry
with
up,
this fund that
transcription.
was not normal. This is not a normal, I'm going to give my money to a financial advisor and I don't make any
Here's
of
the thing. Okay, I got to point out with CoffeeZilla. I like a lot of his content. He goes after a lot of scammers. Whoops. But I don't know if he knows too much about the stuff himself. Like, he might know a little bit about it, and he might know how it all works. But I don't know if he knows, like, why it works. Because whenever he talks about these type of things, it's like you can both be stupidly confident in yourself and also say that you don't know exactly what you've done at the same time. If I roll a dice, I could be like, I know there's going to be a 6 that come out of it. Does it mean there's going to be a 6? No, but there's like, right before, as I'm rolling, I'm going to tell my buddies, yeah, watch this roll, because if it does hit, everybody's going to remember.
Decisions. He clearly was directing some of the strategy to say, hey, go get CryptoPunks, and then to go move your money into VFriends because Gary Vee says so. For Gary Vee to then give Mr. Beast a gift to the fund, like, it's all very strange, and I feel like the frustration here is the fact that anytime there's a problem, it's all the fund. I did nothing. I had nothing to do with it, etc. But when you actually look at these investments were all talking about Jimmy. Like, it wasn't about, oh, there's multiple stakeholders, it's Jason Williams. No. It was all Mr. Beast. And that's the criticism that I think he's not engaging with here. So this will matter a lot in our next part, which is about Super. One of the worst things that I think is sort of against him, where this tweet happens while his fund
less than 2
had
minutes
been
on the
selling and continued to sell. That's our follow-up question, and you'll see some more of this. Oh, it's not me, it's all the fund.
The Supercoin tweet. For context, on May 12th, 2021, you, Mr. Beast, tweeted in response to it was an Elio Trades tweet. There's a gym sitting there on the market at an eye-watering price set to explode during DeFi Summer 2.0. And then you responded by saying super ? With a crazy emoji.
Yep.
So why did you not disclose that you had a vested interest in the coin that you were tweeting about? Super ?
Here's the thing. When you start making money like Jimmy does, you don't think about everything. And the problem is like everything's in the blockchain now. And so before the crypto blockchain stuff, your dumbass uncle would just go out and buy a metal sculpture because they thought it was like a good investment and they thought it looked cool, and like they'd waste their money that way. And the rich guys would go out and they'd spend 10, 20, 30,000 bucks and they'd just burn the money like crazy. And you could say, okay, yeah, they're buying a service and someone's getting money directly from it or whatever. But a lot of the times these guys just spend money, don't really think too much. Or they'll be like, I know this for sure. I'm going to be like, okay, I'm starting a business, or I know somebody starting a business. Do you have $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 that you can throw towards business? And someone's like, fuck it, I make $2 million, $3 million a year. It doesn't really matter to me. Take it, right? Like, yeah, it's shitty, obviously, and it's shitty that rich people can fund shitty things this way. But like again, if he's done something illegal, we can fine him and we can go after him. But it's not really. We're just like, it's a moral condemnation of like a perfectly plausible scenario right now.
There.
Hello. I replied to a tweet, so I did tweet it out, and I think a lot of people.
Wait, you did tweet it out? You reply? This is such a weird distinction.
Well, you're trying to remember tweets and shit. I'm done with that. Anyways, Jimmy probably did some crazy shit. He's like a billionaire. Billionaires do crazy shit. Whack, 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 whack. Here, let me let my birds out. They can go fly around. Hey guys, coming out. Come on. Come on. Come say hi to stream. Or not. Just stand there. Stare at me. Boom. Transcript's done. Okay. Let's get into this. And I actually have to re-figure out like how I'm going to... how I'm going to deal with these channels. So, what am I doing? I'm trying to think of the steps. I'm running out of steps, guys. First, we'll put on some chill music. Then, these channels, I need to figure out. I think I can actually just come over here. Open them up. Turn off pan. Turn off pan. Turn off pan. Now they should all, hopefully.
What? Yes, and I don't mind it though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's the one thing about YouTube. You realize, like, well, you know, it's like only 5 or 10% of your audience watches.
So quiet. Why are they so quiet?
Particular video.
We need compressors. We need compression to make them louder. Holy camole, this person is quiet. Like, really quiet. We'll bring them up a little bit. And da-da. Yada. I think we just probably have to put the same compressor across all 3 channels. Dialogue compression. Dialogue compression. Dialogue compression.
TT test. TT test. Testing.
Testing. These guys are so quiet.
I already went.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm good for the day, I'm sure, or for a few hours.
For the whole day.
Oh, not me.
We did the whole 4.5 hour drive down.
For the whole day.
That was a miracle. That's never gonna happen again.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go pee at least once. Won't you guys?
What's this conversation to start?
In general, and
You
asking dominating if I just let you talk.
I don't feel like I'm dominating everyone
Okay.
else well. I was watching, your 5-hour thing on the Israeli-Palestinian history.
Yeah.
And I was showing her parts of it.
Oh, guys, please.
This morning. And
Steven,
I remember going like,
intro.
You gotta wonder though, when you showed up to that thing.
Intro.
What a Scientologist would
Steven.
say. And I'm gonna throw out some things here, and please,
No.
challenge me on what a Scientologist
No.
would think this means.
Intro, Steven.
As a staunch defender of Scientology, I'll be sure to provide as much pushback as I can, all right?
Well, they would go, it's an applied religious philosophy.
Steven.
What the hell is that? You no longer.
I know you said they didn't account for
It's
Oh, you're going to
However,
interrogate the hardcore the religious beliefs.
TT
Oh
test,
my
TT
dude.
test.
Do
Entirely.
okay, trivia question. Do they
Who's flying? Like these
they're
are
immigrant
to
when you're studied so much for that conversation.
Did he
and
make
was-
an intro?
Yeah, no, that's good. I stress that
that's why I feel like if he's asking general.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Bridges.
you always like
videos.
yeah, I find that sometimes my audience will get mad because I
Steven. Your audience.
if I pass law.
I don't mind repeating myself on these things.
Yeah, no, that's good. I stress that to people because a lot of people are
On the Israel.
So moronic. A little bit, and you're just.
his goal was to go. Yes, listen,
You're
how it goes, but issue diagnosis for the.
That's right.
Oh, bro. Why is she whispering? Bro got political. Oh, this is very political. But like, what the? Come on, guys. Guys. I need to like message him right now. Oh no. Where's the transcript? Hold on. Audio transcription. No! No! I just cleared the transcription. I think. No, I didn't. We're good. Oh. Audio transcription. Transcribe. Is there a hello and welcome? Control F. Bridges. Oh my, bro. Bro. Bridges, please. Hello. Welcome. I need to send. I'm sorry, guys. I need to send a message before we actually listen to this. Yeah, dear Steven, where is the fucking intro? Okay. Kyla, we need you back in the studio. Steven is going. It's a nightmare without you. I can't find the do I like this sucks. Oh come on. There's no intro. Hello. No, there's nothing. Welcome. Joined. I don't think there's a bro. How's it going, Ben? I've searched like everything. Usually intros are helpful. Yeah. Hold on. It's a nightmare with the that's sec. I need to hopefully I'm not. Okay, I need to rethink that. Okay. Actually, you know what? No, I know how I'm gonna do this. I love you guys, but we need stuff on the laptop. 2 PCs. And the laptop sets off the fucking tab. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Kyla, we need you back in the studio. It's becoming chaos. I think. Yeah, it's 2:30 a.m. Have a good one, dude. I don't know what to say here. I'm trying to think. I need something good. Lovely meeting you too. Thank you so much for coming out, dude. I really appreciate it. Yeah, we need more chill streams like this. This is kind of this is the vibe of my stream recently. We've been doing some video games for the longest time, but this is a little more open, a little more hanging out. I'm so mad. I'm so mad, dude. I think I'm just gonna quit Discord when I'm doing this. Come on out, birds. Come here. Come here. You guys just want to hang out there all day? No? Okay. Close that. Ever want to. Actually, you know what? Wait. I wanted to see. Streaming category. Numbers. Let's put that. Category. Daytime numbers. Statistics and charts. Twitch tracker. Twitch viewership. It's dipping, baby. Channels. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay.
Good for a day, a few hours.
He just starts chatting.
That's why I feel like if he's asking general Scientology questions, don't feel like you're dominating if I just let you talk.
I don't.
I think.
That's why I feel like.
And then this, we're gonna link, unlink, and multicam angle. What was? I should also grab the download.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's what you say
I don't
Right.
feel like
sometimes, like about Scientology.
I wish there was a way. See, here's the thing too. I gotta wait till this waveform is actually made, so that I can like match the peaks, which is frustrating, but you know. Come on, waveform. Form those waves.
Because often you're arguing with people, like these people be like, how do you just have that argument?
Yes, I
Okay,
saw that in
okay.
the email.
He
Yeah,
went
yeah.
on afterwards to shows and he was saying,
Come on. Generate. Please. So mad. Okay, I'm just trying to process this, guys, because we are gonna start listening to this in a second. I gotta like realign the video and everything. But actually, no, I could probably do this. Control X, Control V. Get rid of the multicam. Yeah, remove, delete. And then we grab all of them like a real human being. Right click. Create new multicam clip. Sound. We're just gonna create it this way. Maybe like AI Steve. I don't know if you're chilling out, Ben. How's the server been doing here? Seen you popping in and out the past few days. Well, actually yesterday. We've seen a few people come in and out. The thing is capture. You gotta capture people. And right now one person comes on at a time. Oh, yes. So beautiful. Open in timeline. Whoa. Wait, did you do an intro here?
An auditing session? It's okay. You can't go wrong.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, I saw that name.
Testing. So you know Jen is not just here because she's my girlfriend. Like her uncle is the leader of Scientology.
Yes, I saw that in the email. Yeah. Yeah, that's why I asked if you were both talking because I remembered in the email. I was like, wait a second, I think that's okay. All right. One more. Okay. My about center. Yeah.
A lot like.
Oh.
Yeah, WorldGuard isn't updated, so you're waiting for that. There's dependency of our custom plugin. You also need it for yeah. Okay, I always wait for. That's the thing. I always wait for WorldGuard for the update. That's a huge one. I was thinking though about the new user experience. I don't know how you do it, and I kind of had it the same way before. I don't like people starting in a rule room because a rule room is kind of like, oh, these guys are fucking nerds. So, like I have it, and I've like thought forever about what the use is of it, you know. But
okay. I'm an user. Okay.
Sec.
Pretty hot outside, and then seeing you both come.
I really want, and I like the idea of someone like This episode will be really interesting. Of I like the idea of someone just coming on to Minecraft and just playing. You know what I mean? Like, no bullshit. I hate when I jump on a server and it's like, oh, here's a 5-minute tutorial before you play. Right? Like, I really liked the idea, and I wanted to originally that somebody would spawn randomly outside of 10K on their first in, which we kind of got going-ish. Wait 1 sec. Oh, there we go. That didn't get synced in. And then if they die, it spawns them in a... That sends them there. Just comment out so you can re-implement it. It's up to you. But that's what I mean. Is like someone shows up, they die, then it shows them up into like the zone if they don't have a bed set up. You know what I mean? Something like that. Because like I set it up originally. I was like just more pissed off because I didn't really want to deal with the server because people just treating me like a fucking like a top tier game development studio when it was just me in my fucking basement spending money on Minecraft server. I was just like, you know, fine, screw it. I'm just gonna stop people from coming in and like add the big tutorial thing at the start and go, hey, you know, you need to be responsible if you join. But I also don't think that's the proper way of doing a server. You'll also make it that when you join, you spawn teleport paper in your 9th in... Yeah. Maybe. And then could you make the spawn area like massive? Right? Like the spawn radius? Super, like, make it in the millions. And then, like, the chances of spawning inside 10K would just be so low that it was just, like, it's not even worth thinking about. And if they do spawn inside 10K, it's the rare occasion that someone does, you know? Or you could just, I don't know, you can use your plugin skills and go, like, yes, if first spawned in 10K pre-roll spawn kind of thing, right? So okay, anyways, I think this has to be angle 2. So I bring this audio channel angle 2. Yeah. Do.
15 years ago, when I was 21.
She's so quiet.
Like, there wasn't a ton
We're
of
going to
people
game
talking
jam, so
about
you've been a bit busy. Yeah, it's all
so there
good, dude.
wasn't.
I'm not trying to tell you to do anything. Which was it? Which angle was it? Change the angle to Steven. Change angle to guest. Change angle to rest. No. This angle's the best. Guest. Alright, sorry, wait, rest. I can do not. Room. Did he do an intro?
It looks like they're being pulled by the boats in front.
Like they're all being towed or something.
Yeah. That's what I was like, that looks an awful lot like. It is.
So we've never done one of these together. I'm gonna try not to just dominate every answer. Like, and if you really want me to start, you might just be like, take this one. Because otherwise I might be waiting to give you a chance to start. So everyone's like, oh my god, he dominates her in every way.
Yeah, but don't.
Or someone will be staring awkwardly at your
There's
I know, that's
a whole
horrible. I
hate
prefer-
community. There's a whole hate community that's adjacent to the former Scientology community. And they're like, Aaron's just using Jenna because she's a miscavige.
Don't worry about that. Don't think about what those people say. Right now, also, can you just please dominate?
Well, when he has a question, be like, dominate. Over to you to dominate. Testing.
Testing. That's so hard for me to say testing for some reason. You were always forcing
Test.
me to.
TT test. Testing.
I already went.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good for the day, sure, or for a few hours. For the whole day.
not me.
Well, we made the whole 4.5 hour drive down here without stopping.
That was a miracle. That's never gonna happen again.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go pee at least once. You won't, you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I'm good for the day, sure, or for a few hours. For the whole day. Well, we made the whole 4.5 hour drive down here without stopping to go to the bathroom.
I don't think that synced up properly.
He usually talks more about psychology in general, and I usually talk more about like my personal experience. That's why I feel like if he's asking general psychology questions, don't feel like you're dominating by just letting you talk.
I don't feel like I'm dominating everyone else well.
You, I imagine that when you go around to shows, it's always like, do you find yourself repeating yourself a lot?
Yes, and I don't mind it though.
Yeah.
That's one thing about YouTube. You realize, like, well, you know, it's like only 5 times of your audience watches any one of your particular videos. I do like 2 or 3 videos a day. I just repeat myself all the time.
Yeah, I find that sometimes my audience will get mad because
by past lives.
I imagine
That's
that when
right.
you go
And
around
you've
to
probably
Oh, I gotta move this. Yeah.
shows, it's always
My
like,
personal.
sometimes
I
my
imagine
audience
that
will
when
get
you
mad
go around and do
Is that it right here?
Just let you talk.
I don't feel like I'm dominating everyone else well.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
you I imagine that when you go I imagine that when you go
That's it right there. Okay. The waveforms are so different.
I imagine that when you go around and do shows, it's always like, do you find yourself repeating yourself a lot?
Yes, and I don't mind it though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The,
That's the one thing about YouTube. You realize, like, well, you know, it's like only 5 or 10% of your audience watches any one of your particular.
Or wait, it's the other way around.
Definitely good job answering.
It is the other way around. This one is synced. Why is this section not synced?
Doing now and
I don't think it's gonna happen. Is that I don't really mind.
Okay.
Has to have only one winner. There could be 10 to fly to me. Just continuing to.
Why, Steven? Ben says you think best way to implement it is using the current list that it created, and it gets sent to the rules area and just change the code to teleport the player to a random area. Yeah, and then there seems to be no default way to do this in Minecraft. Yeah, that's where you have to use the spread players rule. Right. No, I think they still go. Yeah, no, they still go straight to that random teleport area. No, that's fine. As long as they still work. As long as the random teleport still works. I just don't know what people are doing. I used to lurk and watch you guys when people would join. But you can't really see this here. Okay, but the audio runs out.
I don't know. I guess I'm using it in a way that's helpful and productive.
But I'm laughing so hard.
Rather than it being something that I'm
Because
forced to
the audio cuts out.
I'm just somewhat motivated by trying to beat David Miscavige's worst nightmare.
Okay.
And that's not a battle that has to have only one winner. There could be 10 people trying to be his worst
And
nightmare.
he's thinking about it.
But,
Steve's thinking
the way
about
they
it.
just destroy families and destroyed my family and do my videos. There's a
And
part
then he
of me that's
realizes, it looks down.
like, just continuing to.
He presses it, and then the recording starts again. Okay, so I don't know what audio I should just go with the default multicam audio. I think we're just gonna do that for this one. Why do you do this to me? Multicam. Audio. No, switch multicam. And then I change this one to multicam. And then we mute. And this should be a good
day, I'm sure, or for a few hours. For the whole day.
Oh, not me.
Well, we made the whole.
I feel like you're dominating if
I find that sometimes my audience will get mad because I, they're like, oh, you did that show. Why didn't you tell us? It's like, okay, here it is. And I link it. And they're like, you said this a million times before. I was like, yeah. Because oftentimes you'll run the circuit of podcasts.
That's right.
And yeah, I'll be like, so what is Scientology?
That's right.
What do you mean by past lives?
That's right.
And you've probably said, you've answered the question so many times that you've kind of said, and that when you, I imagine that when you go around and do shows, it's always like, do you find yourself repeating yourself a lot?
Yes, and I don't mind it though.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the one thing about YouTube. You realize, like, well,
I'm gonna do the fucking intro, dude. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Bridges. Yeah, I can probably do it. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Bridges Podcast. Today, we're going to be joined by Aaron, who is at Aaron Smith 11 and Jenna Miscavige. Steven forgot to make a fucking intro for me. So please watch the video. What do I do? Let's just listen to it. I don't even fucking care.
I imagine that when you go around and do shows, it's always like, do you find yourself repeating yourself a lot?
Yes, and I don't mind it though.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the one thing about YouTube. You realize, like, well, it's like only 5 or 10% of your audience watches any one of your particular videos. I do like 2 or 3 videos a day. I just repeat myself all the time.
Yeah, I find that sometimes my audience will get mad because I, they're like, oh, you did that show. Why didn't you tell us? It's like, okay, here it is. And I link it. And they're like, you said this a million times before. I was like, yeah. Because oftentimes you'll run the circuit of podcasts. That's right. Then, I'll be like, so what is Scientology?
That's right.
What do you mean by past lives?
That's right.
And you've probably said, you've answered the question so many times that you've kind of said everything there is to say, and then you end up repeating like lines verbatim and everything. So
yeah, no. Last night I was running through the Lex interview in my mind. I'm like, man, I remember I did a surprisingly good job answering those questions. I hope I can remember everything that I said. But yeah, I don't mind repeating myself on these things.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah. I stress that to people. Because a lot of people will email me and they'll be like, oh my God, like I could never debate like you, or I could never memorize all these things, or all the, and I tell people a lot of people severely undervalue the repetition that I get when I'm arguing with people. Like, because people will be like, how do you just have that argument offhand? And it's like, well, I've said it like 27 times, so I don't even have to think about it when I give it, because these are such like common talking points. And I'm sure it's the same for anything that you guys go over.
Well, that makes sense, because I was watching, your 5-hour thing on the Israeli-Palestinian.
Yeah, and the thing is too, is like, there's listeners to this podcast. We're on everywhere that has podcasts.
History.
Yeah.
And I was showing her parts of it this morning, and I remember going like, how the fuck do you pull that out of your...
I know, it's like, are we old?
I was like, what are you talking about? How do you know that, And I'm like, 5 hours. Anyway, that guy directly across the table from you was so hilarious. When he's like, you are so...
You're a moron or
it's
something,
so moronic,
right?
It's terrifying. Like that.
He went
you were
on
laughing a little bit, and you're just like...
He went on afterwards to shows, and he was saying that his goal was to go there and just shit stir the entire time. And I was so irritated because I had studied so much for that
he's doing
conversation, and he's as pathetic as it is, he's one of the more cited
Norm
people
Finkelstein
in the West for the
Friedman,
history there, even though he's like a pop historian at best.
Is that right?
Yes.
I like how you dissed him for not knowing Hebrew.
Well, because if you're a historian, you typically always will know the language. It's very rare that somebody's like, oh, like I'm a world war, I'm a...
Okay, we gotta mark this.
You're a oxymoron or something.
It's so
right?
moronic. It's terrifying. It's like that. It's like that.
You know, he actually.
Like, it's terrifying.
One sec. BB. Playing that.
Like that.
And
You know, he went
You were
on.
laughing a little bit, and you're just like,
He went on afterwards to show that he was
Bernelli.
saying that his goal was to go there and just sit there the entire time.
Debates.
And I was so irritated because I had studied so much for that conversation, and he's as pathetic as it is, he's one of the more cited people in the West for the history there, even though he's like a pop historian at best.
Is that right?
Yes.
I like how you dissed him for not knowing Hebrew.
Well, because if you're a historian, you typically always will know the language. It's very rare that somebody's like, oh, like I'm a German historian, because you want to be able to go through primary materials.
Right.
And if you can't read Arab or Hebrew,
Yeah.
to call yourself an Israeli Palestinian historian is very strange because you
Yeah.
can't go through any of the source materials. So you're relying on other primary sources, so you're secondhand at best. So it's just that's a very interesting.
Yeah.
Or
I gotta wonder though, when you showed up to that thing, were these, because those are some of the, I want to assume Lex must have picked them because they were some of the leading academics in the field. Were they like, okay, we know why you're here, we know why you're here, we know why you're here. Who the fuck are you?
Kind of. Yeah. That's usually how it goes. But listen. I am powered by Vyvanse for the past year. I got an ADHD diagnosis for the first time ever. So this year, I've been able to, for the first time in my life, sit down and just read full material. And
Is
the
that
amount,
right?
yeah, and it actually has changed my life so much.
I have a similar problem, but I'm too cheap to go to a doctor and try to get it.
Yeah.
Anything.
Well, we'll take it to account in your next auditing. Speaking of, okay, so I know I just said that you do this a million times, but give us a brief overview of what is Scientology.
You want me to take it?
yes.
Okay, so I like to answer this question the way a former Scientologist would answer it.
Okay. Where we gotta start here? You fucking
overview of what is.
I'm gonna make a marker. What is Scientology?
Scientology.
You want me to take it?
Yes.
Okay, so I like to answer this question the way a former Scientologist would answer it, and then give the absolute most fair attempt at how a Scientologist would answer it.
Okay.
So as a former Scientologist, Scientology is a multi-billion-dollar international family-destroying human trafficking cult.
Okay.
But a Scientologist would say, and I'm going to throw out some things here, and please, challenge me on what a Scientologist would think this means.
Okay.
Because
as a staunch defender of Scientology, I'll be sure to provide as much as I can, all right?
Well, they would go, it's an applied religious philosophy.
Okay.
Why'd you code the player? One sec. Why did you code the player code so horribly? You made it use 2 classes for no damn reason. Oh, are you talking about your what's it called? Your game jam stuff. You gotta get used to it. You have no idea, dude. The code that I use, I've never I've only been I only have 1 year of basic Python programming, and the stuff that I built is just miserable. But the plugin. Still, either way, it doesn't matter what it is. Yeah.
What the hell
You'll
does
get
that mean? So, because Scientologists do not believe in a heaven or a hell or a God or any of the traditional concepts of the world's mainstream religions. But they do believe in the immortal spirit. But a spirit, the way they would describe it is you're looking at me, but it's not your eyes looking at me. It's you as a spirit, and you just happen to be located directly behind your eyes right now. And they say the spirit is immortal. It's about 60-something trillion years old. They don't even try to explain where did all these spirits come from. They just kind of casually explain it in a way that's kind of like the spiritual Big Bang.
I heard a little bit of Scientology.
One day we all decided to be, and that was it. It doesn't have to get any deeper than that. So they believe in the immortal.
I'm also, just so you're aware, Ben, I am keeping the music going in the background, mostly to avoid having people clip this out and cut their own versions. And we're gonna be starting and stopping a lot of it so that you can't it's really hard to just re-upload whatever I'm doing as a Bridges podcast thing. So
spiritual being, and that being is natively godlike
the
in
IP
its power, truly godlike, creating and destroying universes by thinking about it, it exists completely independently of the physical universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I guess I'm going on and on about the Thetan. They call the spirit the Thetan, because that's where they would go, applied religious philosophy. But what's religious about it? The only thing really religious about it is they do genuinely believe in the immortal spirit, and that the spirit is natively godlike in its powers, and that only through Scientology auditing or counseling, sort of their version of kind of a talk therapy situation, only through Scientology's auditing can you, as a spiritual being, get back to your native godlike potential, where you're no longer subject to the trap and the trappings of the physical universe, and you're no longer subject to the cycle of birth to death. They believe that when you die, you're basically just dropping your body and going over to the hospital and picking up a new body and living lifetime after lifetime.
Yeah, because like I think there's like thetans are like spirits that attach themselves to things. I'm gonna like really summarize it, and then hopefully they definitely will go more into it. But they're spirits that attach themselves to things, and like everybody's thetans and everything's thetans. It's thetans all the way down, okay? And so there's the physical world, and then there's these spirit things, and you're supposed to like learn about how, like, as you go through the tiers, how thetany you are, and then at the top tier you just learn that everything's thetans anyways.
With full amnesia of your previous lives, and that the Scientology auditing can get you in a state where you no longer have that amnesia, so you can retain full memory of your previous lives, and that's sort of a stepping stone onto your way of
That's out of sync. Did I just move everything? I did.
Escaping from the physical universe entirely.
Okay, trivia question. Do they, I know you said they didn't account for where the souls originally came from. Do they have a way of accounting for why there are more today than there were like 100,000 years ago? Or I'm just curious, like as the population explodes, like...
When you say more, you must mean on Earth.
Yeah.
But they believe these spirits are everywhere in the universe.
Oh.
Yeah. And how they came to Earth is a very special story that gets made fun of many places like South Park. The Xenu and the volcanoes and the hydrogen bombs and getting, people getting blown up in the volcanoes from other places.
I got to compress this out a little more. Or a little, yeah, it's got to be more. We got to bring this up. Threshold down. Yep.
It's people from other planets being transported here by space planes and blown up in the volcanoes. That's where a lot of the spirits on this planet come from. But
they do. All the spirits. Then what we do is we put on the voice isolation and just a little bit.
To be perfectly honest, my recollection is L. Ron Hubbard did.
And that just like gets rid of a lot of the room noise. So like if I turn it off, I'll just show you. I'll listen to this section back. So off.
What's religious about it? The only thing really religious about it is they do genuinely believe in the immortal spirit.
And then I can turn voice
and that the spirit is natively godlike in its powers.
Anyways.
The Scientology auditing can get you in a state where you no longer have that amnesia, so you can retain full memory of your previous lives, and that's sort of a stepping stone onto your way of escaping from the physical universe entirely.
Oh yeah, Ben, take notes. Okay, this is actually how the universe was made. Okay, this is the real history of the universe. Okay. Oh, what's that? Yeah. Just put the check on the table. Thank you. Okay. Anyways.
Okay, trivia question. Do they... I know you said they didn't account for where the souls originally came from.
The volcanoes and the hydrogen bombs and getting, people getting blown up in the volcanoes from other planets. People from other planets being transported here by space planes and blown up in the volcanoes. That's where a lot of the spirits on this planet come from. But to be more recent, my recollection is L. Ron Hubbard didn't even explain how relatively normal Thetans got to the planet more recently. He will sometimes refer to beings that are smarter or more capable than others as beings who are more recently arrived to this planet.
It's all government
but
psyop,
he
yeah.
never says how'd they get here. How come they didn't get blown up in the volcanoes?
These people are conspiracy theorists.
Like,
they're criminals, actually. Okay. Don't let them stray you from the faith of Scientology.
They're immigrant genius. They have their own version of Ashkenazi settler. Okay. What an absolutely stupid idea.
It doesn't even actually get down to like some of these things that you might be like, that would be an interesting thing for Scientologists to discuss and know, apologists to discuss and know or have a belief in, but it's like
version of Ashkenazi settler. Yeah. Okay. What an absolutely stupid idea.
It doesn't even actually get down to like some of these things that you might be like, that would be an interesting thing for Scientologists to discuss and know or have a belief in, but it's like, if L. Ron Hubbard never mentioned it, you're not really supposed to speculate about it.
Okay. Obviously, women come from male ribs and everything, so we know this is crazy, but okay. What were you going to say?
Well, also, you don't find out about the thing with the volcanoes and that sort of thing until you've done a lot of Scientology, and so I feel like I was always like waiting for the answers to where do the spiritual beings come from. But it made sense that I didn't know it because I didn't expect it. I didn't expect to know it until I was much farther along in Scientology.
Okay. Do when you're thinking about, I guess, like problematic aspects of Scientology, are there like real life implications to ways that it shows up negatively? So, for instance, one of my biggest criticisms of, I'll say like religion as a whole, is that sometimes the real world application of it gets very messy. So, I don't know if it's Jehovah's Witnesses or somebody, like there are certain sects that, for instance, like won't believe in blood transfusion.
Right.
I'm like, oh, well, if your kids are dying because you don't want to get surgeries, I feel like
Christian Science.
Maybe, yeah, maybe that's kind of problematic. Do you think that there are ways that Scientology manifests in like dogma? Not, obviously there's the trafficking and all of that and everything, but like just religiously, like, do you think there are just inherently bad aspects of how it manifests in reality? Or,
I mean, I have an answer. Do you want to go?
Yeah, I mean, I think that because they believe that we're all spiritual beings, they kind of believe that when you're a kid, you're not really a kid. And so you are, they kind of have you as a kid do adult, mature things. They don't treat you as a kid. Like growing up, I didn't live in a house with my parents, and it wasn't like important that I got a good education. And, you know, we did like basically a full-time job's worth of manual labor, and that's all seemed to be okay because they believe that you are a spiritual being who's however old they think we are.
Yeah, so they're like thousands and thousands, millions of years
can I
old.
ask, and I'm not trying to like interrogate the hardcore the religious beliefs, but I'm curious, how do they reconcile that with the idea that if you're a spiritual being, the way that you go from life to life is by having an amnesia when you're reborn? Wouldn't that amnesia require some kind of like re-education, or how do they get around that, I guess? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess the way that I grew up, I was always intended to work for Scientology. And so education about things in the outside world was just completely
minecart experiment on the server.
It was
speed up
mostly just like about
minecarts.
reading and a little bit of math and writing. And
We want everything to be, it's up to you, but I want everything to be as vanilla as possible unless it's an extra thing. If you want to do like 10K minecarts, have special minecarts that are faster than other ones, I think it'd be nice, but... And experiments, let's avoid too many experiments on the main server. You're killing me. I love the enthusiasm, but you're killing me sometimes. It's up to I don't know too much about how it all works, the technicals of it, so whatever, but you know.
About Scientology when I was there. And then they also kind of believe that even though you have that amnesia, through Scientology you will be able to like not have that again. So technically if you progress through Scientology to its highest levels, you would remember those things.
Do you would you guys say, is it common for people who are in Scientology to have been kind of like born into it or raised from children, or if you had to guess, is it like 50-50, you know, are converts from the outside versus are raised in Scientology families? Or
I would say right now that it's mostly people who grew up there, because it's
We should stop asking
hard,
questions like that.
Who would join Scientology right now with the internet and everything that's out there? So I mean, I would assume that it's mostly people who grew up there, who are second and third generation Scientologists.
I would guess it's probably about 75% people who are, you know, second, third, fourth generation at this point.
Yeah, maybe their kids too, like people my age, their kids are involved.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you do have people joining, but there's there's like, even in the best of times, there was about a 90% churn rate on brand new people who would come into a Scientology org and do an introductory service. You know, back in the late 80s, approximately, there was maybe 100,000 Scientologists in the world. It's down to about 20,000 right now.
Oh, geez. Okay.
For real. Like, it's much smaller than most people assume. Oh, and it's much smaller than Scientology says. They claim about 15 million members worldwide, but it's just not the case. You mind if I give another answer to the dogmatic problem?
You can give as many answers as you want. Yeah, go for it.
They are vehemently against the field of mental health.
Okay.
They believe anything that's wrong with you can only be fixed through Dianetics auditing, or later upper-level Scientology auditing with the body thetans and stuff like that. They're actually you're not allowed to get mental health care. God forbid medication. And this has led to like really disturbing situations of, in the most egregious one I can think of, a second generation Scientologist murdering his mother because she would not let him get professional.
Okay, we can come back.
I mean, I would assume that it's mostly people who grew up there who are second and third generation Scientologists.
I would guess it's probably about 70-75% people who are second, third, fourth generation at this point.
And maybe their kids too. Like people my age, their kids are involved.
Yeah. Okay. And you do have people joining, but there's like, even in the best of times, there was about a 90% churn rate on brand new people who would come into Scientology or do an introductory service. Back in the late 80s, approximately, there was maybe 100,000 Scientologists in the world. It's down to about 20,000 right now.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
For real. Like, it's much smaller than most people assume. Oh, and it's much smaller than Scientology says. They claim about 15 million members worldwide, but it's just not the case. You might have to give an answer to the dogmatic problem. Says they claim about 15 million members worldwide, but it's just not the case. You mind if I give another? They believe anything that's wrong with you can only be fixed through Dianetics auditing or later upper-level Scientology auditing with the body thetans and stuff like that. They're actually you're not allowed to get mental health care, God forbid medication. And this has led to like really disturbing situations of, in the most egregious one I can think of, a second generation Scientologist murdering his mother because she would not let him get professional mental health care or be institutionalized or put on medication when it was known by his family members that he was a danger to himself and others.
And the death of Lisa McPherson as well.
That's another example where there was a famous case of a woman who had a mental breakdown in Clearwater, on the streets of Clearwater, Florida. Like, had a car accident, got out, stripped naked, walking down the street, and she was checked into a mental facility. And Scientologists actually all sign agreements that are kept on file that in a case like that, they do not want to be in the facility, and a Scientologist can come and check them out. So she was checked out, and she was put under isolation and watch in the Fort Harrison Hotel until she died of dehydration and malnourishment and everything, like literally. And because they didn't want the local hospital to know that they had sort of made an oopsie, instead of taking her to the local hospital that was 2 minutes away, they drove her to a hospital where a Scientologist was working about 45 minutes to an hour away, and she was dead by the time she got there. So that's an example of, sort of a perfect storm of things going really, really wrong. Now, you mentioned children aren't really children. That's like that's a real thing. That's not like a heavy extrapolation. That's like children are not children. A one-day-old baby, as someone a Scientologist would say, well, yeah, yesterday they were an 85-year-old man. And, one of the reasons babies act the way they do is they're so upset at everything they just lost. And they're so confused at not being able to control this body that they're very, especially if a baby is a little problematic. I don't want to say like babies aren't problematic, but I mean, like, yes, exactly. They're just so upset at this whole loss. And you asked, well, but if you get the amnesia, you have to be re-educated. This is a weird, unfalsifiable thing in Scientology where remember when I said through Scientology auditing, you're supposed to get back to your native godlike state? They call that full operating thetan, or OT. But there's a phrase in Scientology, you have to be OT to go OT. And so for some reason, even though Scientologists will acknowledge that, yeah, they think you have full amnesia, on some level, they're like, yeah, but you're a Scientologist now. You're already the upper 10th of the upper 10th of intelligent beings on this planet. If you really try hard enough, you can just sort of like glean it from your past life. So like Scientologists, most dedicated workers, are expected to be able to do any job without being trained on it because you've done it in thousands of lifetimes before.
That's
now,
creepy.
Logically, it makes no sense.
Yeah, it makes
like,
no sense.
what's the point of Scientology? What's the point of having a path to get rid of the amnesia if you're, on the other hand, expected to just snap out of it because we're just that awesome? Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's kind of what happens when you're dealing with like cult thinking. But the funny thing about the amnesia is how it's instilled. It's hard for me to talk about this stuff these days without laughing, but this really is what Scientologists believe. It really is what I believed. It really is. We all believed it.
Okay.
And it's the in-between lives implant stations. And these implant stations, my understanding was always they're actual physical locations. Far side of the moon, Mars, Venus, Mercury, whatever. Different Scientologists will say different things that are run by alien psychiatrists.
Okay. So they do mental health, just not with humans. Okay.
No, psychiatrists are always bad guys.
Oh, they're bad guys. Okay, my bad.
Yes.
Okay.
And
The
they,
teleportation working, now to implement giving them a spawn teleport paper. You mean the 10K teleport thing? Okay. The thing is, what we are gonna notice. It's really difficult to think about, because if you give someone something right away, I've tried this before. They just teleport right back. They like use the paper right away, which is so annoying. And then you got to give them one bad. Blah, 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 blah. There's no like gameplay loop there, which is sort of difficult or annoying. Like maybe, bro. Wait, hear me out. Hear me out, and you're gonna be a fucking genius. Okay, and it's up to you. You don't have to do it. It's up to whatever. What if the first time someone spawns in, okay, they spawn out in random nowhere, but the moment they make a bed and they put their very first bed down, you give them a teleport paper, or they use the first bed, you give them a teleport paper. I think that would be so clean. That would be so clean. That would be the cleanest, most amazing, clean thing ever. And just have as a general rule, because it doesn't have to be connected to anything. It could just literally be the very first time someone goes to sleep in a bed, or first time someone sets their spawn point, which might actually be an easier thing to check for. Then you give them a teleport paper. You need to add a new list to the server. It's up to you. Again, you can figure it out. I think that would just be like super, 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 super amazingly clean. Because you go through the tutorial of Minecraft, you get set up, and you're playing the regular Minecraft, and you're like, oh, this is cool. I wanted to find a regular SMP. And then you finally place your bed down, where you put a little hut down, you place a bed. Oh, I just got a teleport paper. What is this? Right? Then we take him, and it's like, oh shit, I'm at the spawn area. But then we also have like the return to bed right there, so they can immediately return back to their bed. My worry was what would happen if it had a full image. Could you make it pop out of the bed? And just as an item? Spawn an entity, an item entity, just above the bed. Maybe? Or you could do something that would be easier if this was a mod. Well, you could... yeah, that's the thing. It's so hard to tell. Because, like, you could spawn... I don't know. A creeper. And then just pop it into a... or have it drop a what's it called? So, think about it too. When you may go like, okay, maybe there's limitations on directing it with a plugin, but also we have the NPC plugin. You can always use plugins. You can always plug into the plugins. So you could be like, first time you place a bed, you would spawn some NPC. The NPC would die and drop the item. Or like, doesn't I don't know what it could be. It could be a few different things. You could have fun with it. You want to like spawn a parrot with a certain tag. The item plugin checks for the parrot, replaces it with item with an NBT data. Maybe, like the way I would do that, like I say, it would be with citizens. Like I'd spawn a citizens NPC. because there's so much you can do with citizens NPCs. And then just kill the citizen NPC right after.
So they do mental health, just not with humans. Okay.
No, psychiatrists are always bad guys.
Oh, they're bad guys.
Yeah.
Okay, my
Yes.
bad. Okay.
And they are basically the almost the jail, the prison wardens for Earth, which Scientologists call a prison planet. This is a prison planet. And that's one of the reasons Scientologists tend to be huge Alex Jones fans. They're like, how does he know? His website's prisonplanet.com.
Okay.
They're like, oh my God,
Because
how does Alex know?
I'm thinking you could literally just preset a citizen's NPC with one of your teleport papers in it and just have that preset and then literally spawn it, right? Yeah, you'd basically just be using citizen commands. Yeah, you could basically do the whole thing with citizen commands other than the first respawn check. That's the thing that you'd have to like actually figure out how to code in. And so that it like ticks it off so that it's like if, you know, I don't know how you do it with the variable. You just delete the variable, I guess. Yeah, like have a player variable of some type until they do it, flip it to 0, delete it, spawn in citizen character that has a thing attached to it. I think pretty cool. Pretty cool.
And so the psychiatrists are the ones that basically they take us to the Between Lives implant station. They wipe our
I could do that. That's the thing, is I can do that with the old custom items plugin. So if I can do that with the old custom, I know I can do it with the old custom. The check is not bad. All you do is add an event called players set spawn check to the list to see if their UUID is in there, and then do the spawning sequence. Yeah. Just call in the citizens NPC then. I can show you how to do that if you not right now, because of course we're doing the episode, but like the way I would do it. Yeah, I could definitely do that with the custom items plugin. That's an easy script in the custom items plugin. Even with script, the actual plugin too, the script plugin, script, you could probably do it there. Anyways, yeah, just an idea. Like the theory, the idea, and the best way to design anything, I think. And I want you to be careful with this too, because I popped on a few times and I see there's a bunch of UI stuff coming in, like the location and the title stuff, or the whatever. I want to avoid as much as possible in the UI, right? And even too, I would imagine, I was thinking about this earlier, you could have all that UI stuff on, but only inside 10K, right? So as soon as you leave 10K, all the UI stuff disappears and you go back to default Minecraft. And that you can just do with permissions, right? You just literally just set the permissions to the plugin based on the 10K location. Because like we want people to be so vanilla. Like think about the experience. You jump onto a server, you're playing vanilla Minecraft, and suddenly a custom item pops out. Like, oh, cool. And then you introduce yourself to the rest of the server. As opposed to jumping into a server and it's like everything all at once, right? Like you don't want to overwhelm people. You want them just to come in from Minecraft and go from there.
Memories, and they sort of electronically program us using some spiritual version of pain drug hypnosis that's never been entirely clear to me. Program us to report back to the implant station as soon as you die next time, and that is the light at the end of the tunnel, and that's why you shouldn't go to the light. Don't go towards the light, because the light is the implant station, and they basically wipe your memory and zap you back down to a body. And this is called the Between Lives area, and all Scientologists know about it, no matter where you're at or on the bridge. Like, you can learn this stuff bottom level Scientology. And so, you know, throwing back to the applied religious philosophy, it's basically, Scientologists would say, Scientology isn't something you believe, it's something you do. And I think that I truly convinced myself of that when I was a Scientologist, that it's not a belief system. But you don't quite realize that all of the things that you're required to do, you're doing because of the belief system that underpins it. And so, yeah, the Scientology auditing process is really the applied part. And it's all about how to get up to a spiritual level where you can, and I think that I truly convinced myself of that when I was a Scientologist. And I think that I truly convinced myself of that. Convinced myself of that.
That's all right.
Sound.
Is this... Hold on, we can check which camera this is. So we go to the black screen. And then we go to guest. No! Oh no, I didn't mean to close it. Oh well, I'm gonna reopen. Quick question, Ben. The cutout effect. I know it's shitty sometimes and it cuts into stuff, but I kind of like it. I don't really care. Like, I don't feel like it matters too much. That it's shit. I think it's like, it's kind of, I don't know. There's a level of like, oh hey, it's usefulness, you know? Like, it's more useful than it is ugly, right? There we go. 'Cause here, like, I can go into this. Threshold it a little higher. But there's like a whole bunch of different like types too. CNET. This one feels quick. Okay, we're just on the list. We'll try a few different ones. Smooth silhouette. Feather. Thank you, Automod. Viewers hub.online. Best viewers.
That when I was a Scientologist, that it's not a belief system, but you don't quite realize that all of the things that you're required to do, you're doing because of the belief system that underpins it. And so, yeah, the Scientology auditing process is really the applied part. And it's all about how to get up to a spiritual level where you can skip the between lives implant station, and then hopefully later on get to the point where you can also go in and out of your body at will, with full perception, causatively, just kind of like bing, 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 teleport around everywhere. And you can come back in a body if you want, but not because you have to. It's just because you want to help get everyone else into Scientology, so everyone else can have the similar gains that you have had.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why do you think it seems to be the case that there's a disproportionate amount of celebrities that like get drafted into this? Or at least that's a perception. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just a few. I think, was it like Will Smith and Tom Cruise? Why? Why do you think, what's going on with them? Do you think they genuinely believe it, or is it a way for them to make money? Were they paid a lot of money, or?
I think it speaks to what it is that's attractive about Scientology at the lower levels. It's almost infinitely self-empowering in the beginning.
You find it kind of funny how the teleport say plus 1.5 sneaking, since you sneak to determine if the teleport paper is limited or not. Can you not put variables on things? Can you not just like declare a variable? Is that a like declare like an NBT variable, and then just look at the NBT variable? You kind of can, but it's a bit difficult. Okay. Here's what I would do. This is for you, Ben. I would consider the way that you think will be the absolute best way of doing it. Okay? Like, even if it requires a little bit of mulling, there's some shortcuts you can take, which are fine. Like, they're fine. I'm totally fine with you. Again, on the Scrubcraft server, it was like half experimental, half like default Minecraft. We want it to be like a chaotic mix of both, in a way. Have a goal. You kind of can, but it's a bit difficult. Is it too difficult for ChatGPT? You want to explain it to me really quickly? Like, you can hop in voice chat and just explain to me. This goes back to what you said about
well, us being spiritual beings and also being all powerful, the idea, one of the most, I think, attractive things about Scientology is it tells you there's literally nothing you cannot handle, fix, or succeed at. Like any barriers that you're running into, you're just not even aware of how you're the one that's actually putting those barriers there. You're not really at the effect of other people. And through Scientology, we can help you see how you're actually putting those barriers there. But the good news is that means you can get rid of them. So limitless potential. Yeah, no limit.
And
No limit.
Scientology also starts out like as a more self-improvement type thing. Like in order to get people into Scientology, they have courses on communication, and maybe if you're trying to be an actor, that's something that would help you. They have programs that specifically target celebrities as a way to get people into Scientology. Like that's an
Okay, one second.
barriers that you're running into, you're just not even aware of how you're the one that's actually.
Hold on,
I think
I'm gonna
was
listen
it
to
like
this.
Will Smith and Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
Why do you think?
Okay. Why do you celebrities and Scientologists? We'll figure that out.
Do you think it seems to be the case that there's a disproportionate amount of celebrities that like get drafted into this, or at least that's a perception. Maybe it's not. Maybe there's just a few. I think was it like Will Smith and Tom Cruise? Why? Why do you think? What's going on with them? Do you think they genuinely believe it, or is it a way for them to make money? Were they paid a lot of money, or?
I think it speaks to what it is that's attractive about Scientology at the lower levels. It's almost infinitely self-empowering in the beginning. This goes back to what you said about, us being spiritual beings and also being all powerful. The idea, one of the most, I think, attractive things about Scientology is it tells you there's literally nothing you cannot handle, fix, or succeed at. Like any barriers that you're running into, you're just not even aware of how you're the one that's actually putting those barriers there. You're not really at the effect of other people. And through Scientology, we can help you see how you're actually putting those barriers there. But the good news is that means you can get rid of them. So limitless potential. Yeah, no limit.
And
No limit.
Scientology also starts out like as a more self-improvement type thing. Like in order to get people into Scientology, they have courses on communication, and maybe if you're trying to be an actor, that's something that would help you. They have programs that specifically target celebrities as a way to get people into Scientology. Like that's an actual strategy that they have.
Okay.
Because they know that celebrities endorsing it is something that would spread the word about Scientology. So they have celebrity centers in different places around the world. And there's actually like policies that Elman Hubbard wrote about this strategy and using celebrities to get people in.
Yeah, it is very much a strategy, and it's kind of like having I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind
of like having Messi as the face of your commercials or your brand. Like it's pretty much that exact same thing.
I sent you a link, Ben. I know a little bit about the like the Spigot API and a little bit about plugin development, and it makes sense to me, but I don't know if it does. That is a lot of code to just give an item a 1 or a 0 state, but it's there.
I think it's very much exaggerated how many celebrities are in Scientology.
Yeah, because I was gonna say it feels like a disproportionate number are, but I can only think of like 2, so maybe
John Travolta and Tom Cruise.
Okay.
Elizabeth Moss.
Most of the other ones that we could name off here were actually born and raised in Scientology.
So the new tag system was introduced in 2006. A lot of the things on Bucket's side got changed, making all previous plugin items not work. This is actually the main reason it's so hard to fix old custom item plugin. But with half the removal of NBT data, it leads to issues with creating and storing values on items. It's making it harder to check. Now, if you stored it in the initial creation of the paper, it would work as expected. But at the time, I did not think to implement limited teleport papers, so now it would be harder to add to existing teleport papers. Okay. Okay, so it's what you can explain to me is that my Minecraft is in like a coding transition phase. And so a lot of the solutions that you have to do are very like version specific. And it's just too much of a pain in the ass. Right? Makes sense.
Mythology.
Yeah.
Whether it's Giovanni Ribisi or Elizabeth Moss or Beck.
Who is this Jew from hell that keeps
but-
joining the server? That guy's been back on and off for like, I think years now.
Or Juliette Lewis.
Juliette Lewis. One of the other attractive things I
Some
think, other
papers
than just being
taking
self-helpy in
weeks
general, is that, you know, to celebrities and in Hollywood, it's such a parasitic situation where when you have someone who is succeeding, first of all, you've got that dynamic of the envy and the jealousy and people trying to, you know, take down people they're jealous of. You also have people who try to ride on the coattails of people who are succeeding. And I'm sure that dynamic plays out in Hollywood just like it would in Nashville for the country music scene or wherever else. And Scientology sort of offers solutions, or, you know, portends to offer solutions to those people in a way that might be unique to what those people have experienced or encountered in the past, or have been offered to those people in the past.
Why, with these like recruitment strategies and everything, why have they been so unsuccessful, you think, over the past several years? Their numbers seem to be dwindling, if I'm to believe.
It's the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's the internet. So the upper levels of Scientology are strictly confidential. It's hard to overstate quite how confidential. So, I mean, I was in Scientology for 34 years. I never even heard the word Xenu or body thetans until I got out of Scientology.
Yeah, Scientology has a chart that where you start at the bottom and you ascend it. Basically, he referred to it earlier as the bridge, and you like can't skip. You actually believe that if you like skip too far ahead and if you learn this stuff about Xenu, that you'll like die.
Okay.
Or you'll like go crazy or something.
Oh, wait.
Skip too far ahead and if
This is gonna be. We'll see. I don't see. Here's the thing. Steven is sitting back right now, taking the interview position, and I don't know if I'm a fan of it. I'm gonna have to grab some water here in a sec. I'm too thirsty. But how do we get him to engage more? Give me a sec. I'll grab some water. Okay. Okay.
and you actually believe that if you like skip too far ahead and if you learn this stuff about Xenu, that you'll like die.
Okay.
Or you'll like go crazy or something. So you're actually like terrified to learn it before your time. So you have to do each step in order, and you're incentivized to, because you know you don't want to die
Sure.
or have your mind blown.
Okay.
So the
that sort
internet
of keeps you though on the hook. Like maybe like you're like all these questions that you should be asking, you're like, okay, I just don't know that yet because that's next. So like if you want to know where all spirits came from, you're like, okay, yeah, that's a very logical question and that's pretty important, but you're like, but I'm not to the level yet where I would learn that.
So whereas in the past, so my experience of never even having heard those words. Oh, because we never did the upper confidential levels when we were in Scientology.
Well, clearly, if you'd gotten that far, you wouldn't be an ex-Scientologist. You would know the truth. But...
No, you'd be surprised. A lot of people go up to the highest levels and still leave.
Oh, okay.
But it's actually pretty common for people who work full-time for Scientology to prioritize the working and helping other people get up the bridge and make almost no progress up the bridge themselves. I mean, that was your experience, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And what about, did you ever, and she worked at some of the higher levels in the Sea Org than I ever did. We didn't even talk about the Sea Org, but did you ever hear the words Xenu or Body Thetan?
No, never ever. I mean,
Yeah.
I learned about that like maybe a year after I left on South Park.
And when you saw it on South Park, did you assume that they must have it wrong?
Well, even though I had left Scientology and I did not believe in it anymore, I was still afraid to watch it. So I tested it on my ex-husband.
I didn't watch it first.
Oh, this reminds me. This is like, have you ever heard of fan death in Korea?
No.
It's a really, I think it persists to this day. But in South Korea, there was this common fear that if you fell asleep in a room with a fan on, it would like suck all the oxygen up or move it up. And even though people are like, nah, there are still people like, if you try to go to sleep with a fan on, like somebody will get up and like, well, just shut this off. So you were the, yeah, okay. You're like, why don't you go? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So when I watched it, I was kind of like, wow, that's not what I was expecting. It just sounded like a comic book to me that dudes would find interesting, and it sounded like really boring and weird.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me asking, how old were both of you when you guys kind of got out of?
I was 21.
Okay.
And so that's when you left the Sea Org. And in your mind, as far as you were concerned, you were done with Scientology.
Yeah, so sometimes, the Sea Org is Scientology's most dedicated group where people sign 1 billion year contracts, basically like pledging yourself lifetime after lifetime.
You love the event Bat Toggle Sleep event? Like the bat sleeping. Like you're toggling them sleeping from the ceiling, right? Yeah.
The servitude, and it's like you work 7 days a week, you don't have days off, you only get paid $50 a week. So that's what I was a part of. And often people will leave the Sea Org and they will still be in Scientology, like they'll still believe. But when I left, I kind of left both at the same time. Like,
real quick, what does Sea Org stand for? Like corporate organization, or what is?
It's like at like the sea, like the ocean.
Oh, okay.
Sea organization, yeah. So it was like it started on like a boat, like a cruise ship.
Okay.
Initially, so it was actually on the sea, and then it moved to land.
And it was really L. Ron Hubbard's effort to escape the governments that were after him. But he explained it that in order to work on his upper level research, he had to be off of the communication lines of the world. And he had to be Fabian and on the ocean. It's like you're running from the tax authorities. But so when he went out on these ships, he of course had to have like some people who were just wholly dedicated to doing nothing but working for him and doing whatever he wanted. And that was the birth of the Sea Organization in 1967.
And so it's like militaristic, like you wear like military uniforms, you like salute, you have ranks, and you like call each other sir.
Even women are
like
called
that.
sir in the Sea Org. There's no differentiation.
And Mr. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So like if we were in the Sea Org, I would have to call her sir.
Yeah.
There's no ma'am.
What's going on here?
Or Mr. Miscavige. Yeah. So like when I was in the Sea Org, my wife Heather was at a higher organization level than me, and she was also an officer, and I was not. So, I would have to call her sir and Mr. Smith-Levin.
Are your families still involved in Scientology, or?
I have a younger brother who still is, so I'm disconnected from him.
Okay.
And is any of your family still? Oh yeah.
I mean, my uncle is the leader of.
I feel like, Ben, the Bat Toggle Sleep event would be cool for like scripting. Hey, birds. Hey. Hi. 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 Hey. Can't see them right now. Come on. Get over here. Get over here. Come here. Come here. Imagine an event, have a whole bunch of bats flying around, and suddenly, swoop, they all fly. Come over here. Come here. Come on in the camera. Come on. Come over here. Yeah, I know. There we go. Come on. No. Come here. Come on. Come here. Come on. Yeah. Come hang out on camera. Hey. Hey. Come hang out on camera.
Scientology.
I forgot.
So he
Sorry.
still is, yeah. And then my aunts and all of their kids are.
You're like what? For like immediate family, like parents, or
My parents are not in Scientology, or my brothers.
Event is
Okay.
only
Yeah.
called when a bat
But like
decides to sleep.
But her parents were also some of the highest rankings.
Yeah, they
can't-
were executives, so they
Okay,
actually
it's
left a
not
little
a-
bit before me, but they're not involved anymore.
okay. Do these journeys all happen in parallel to leave, where you guys are all kind of realizing at the same time, or are there different paths to getting out, like individually, developmentally, or?
So, when I was 12 years old, I was actually moved to a different location than my parents. They were in California and I was in Florida.
Okay.
Like, so they had their own thing. They left when I was 16 and I stayed. We weren't together, so they left on their own.
Okay.
Yeah. And then they did like help to get me out and help. Like, I had very limited contact with them. I wasn't allowed to call them or receive letters from them. There were like a few times when they demanded to speak to me because I was a minor or they would cause problems, and Scientology took it seriously because my uncle's the leader. So like, look, it'd be bad PR. And so we did have some contact just to keep them happy. And like in that time, they were able to tell me certain things in a very careful way that sort of planted seeds in my mind. But I left, like they left when I was 16 and I left when I was 21.
Do you ever have like safety concerns? I don't know how serious, if there's like the Scientology hitmen or.
I think early on, like when I first started talking about Scientology in like 2007, that was like much more of a concern. Like they would like, I mean, they followed me for sure, like whether it was PIs or whatever.
I wonder. I might be able to do
And,
something different here.
Like, you know, you hear about them like ruining people's jobs or like framing them for crimes. And yeah, I was really concerned about that early on. But I do think that like when I started speaking out about Scientology, I did have a certain level of protection just because of my name, or maybe it would be really obvious. Like that's the first thing you think of. And so maybe it would be too obvious what happened to me if anything happened to me.
Okay.
I mean, I'll tell you, like, as far as actual concern for physical safety, I would say no. But you know, like private investigators following me around or sitting outside my house don't bother me. And since I do mostly YouTube these days, I'm like, please bring it on. I'll just turn it into content. It does not bother me in the least.
Oh man, I have a really just toxic. I think about that a lot. Where it must be like a streamer brain or YouTube brain, but sometimes like I'll be in situations.
No, you know, I gotta go fix this. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna fix the way the camera works here. We're gonna grab all three of these main cameras. We're gonna duplicate them. Oh shit. Grab all three of the cameras, we duplicate them. Like that. Okay. We take this. No, wait, this one first. Zoom that out. Down. Camera. I'm not sure if I do this on top or bottom. Control C. Alt V, apply, and then position.
keep just continuing on. Even if the content doesn't get better or more interesting or anything, just continuing on should at least send the message of what can these people really do to you? Well, like,
That's not synced properly. Hold on. Yeah, there we go.
it could go right. There's something to be said for knock off the bullshit and just get it done. I mean, whether you want to say that's good for the employer or I think it's a healthy way to approach life. Of course, it can be overdone.
In some cases, yeah.
Yeah, and taking a look at what your response.
There's a problem that Steven just doesn't know what he's talking about, so he can't really talk to it, and he's having a hard time like connecting with these people.
And things will be.
So there's like some stuff is fine, but he's having a really hard time connecting.
Imagine that when.
Multicam. Room. Nah, multicam angle. Oh, I screwed that up. Hold on. I need to go back to the multicam. Grab all of these. Where is it? Is it not in here? Create compound clip. There's no create compound clip. Okay, we're still gonna have to cut this. Control X. Then find timeline media pool. Timeline. Create new timeline. Compound. Down to the center, like this. And then we go back to the multicam. Bring the compound multicam in. Rename multicam. Auto switch. Doodaloo. Do, do, do.
Well, like, private investigators following me around or sitting outside my house don't bother me. And since I do mostly YouTube these days, I'm like, please bring it on. I'll just turn it into content. It does not bother me in the least.
Oh man, I have a really just toxic. I think about that a lot. Where it must be like a streamer brain or YouTube brain, but sometimes like I'll be in situations and things will be kind of weird. I'm like, oh fuck, like how's this gonna look? Is this gonna be on stream or is this gonna be on YouTube or what's? I remember not to get too far into politics or whatever, but I had a lot of scuffles with conservatives this year, and I irritated a large amount of the audience, and I ended up getting I think swatted a few months ago, and all I could think about when the cops were calling me out of my apartment is like, if I get shot and killed here, there are gonna be so many people online that are like fucking so happy to watch this video, and I'm like, these motherfuckers better not shoot me, I swear to.
Okay, I gotta go back to the compound multicam. We gotta take a look at this and actually like I'm gonna crop left. shit, why? Do we try something a little experimental for the Patreon? We could try something experimental. Yeah, we can definitely do. We're gonna get away with this. Crop the top. And then soft it inward. Is that even worth it? I don't even think that's worth it. I could give them harder softness. It just sucks ass. It just like sucks. See, I could like... Shit, I hate this. I want to like rebuild the whole room. No, I like the old setup. You gotta just go with the old setup. Back way, way up. Yeah. Okay.
Gonna be on YouTube or what's? I remember not to get too far into politics or whatever, but I had a lot of scuffles with conservatives this year, and I
This does need to be larger. Crop bottom. Sorry, I have not been reading chat. You also read that I hate how Mojang did not make an easy way to copy and paste outputs of the data command. Yeah, it's so annoying. I think there's plugins that do that, but yeah. Have you checked out Script before? Like SKRIPT? I don't know if they're still running or not. And then the bottom one. That's fine. That's actually a perfectly acceptable multicam.
Because I irritated a large amount of the audience, and I ended up getting, I think, swatted a few months ago. And all I could think about when the cops were calling me out of my apartment is like, if I get shot and killed here, there are gonna be so many people online that are like fucking so happy to watch this video, and I'm like, these motherfuckers better not shoot me. I swear to God.
Wow.
But yeah, that's like they're going through my mind. And then I also have like, I'm sorry, now I'm getting a psychotic behavior. There are times when I'm making decisions, and in order to evaluate if I'm making a good or bad decision, I'm trying to think like, if all of this blows up, what's it going to be like explaining this to my chat? Because if I'm going to feel like a fucking idiot saying like, okay guys, well, I didn't think that this investment or whatever, like if I would feel real dumb, I should just not do this thing, right? And I think that sometimes, but it's funny you mentioned the YouTube stuff.
Well, it is. I mean, one time when I finally found out that, you know, my neighbors finally contacted me and they're like, this guy's been watching you and he's harassing the other neighbors. And I'm like, well, how long has this been going on for? And they're like, months. I was like, how come you didn't tell me? And they're like, oh, we just figured you already knew. And I was like, oh, I just think of all the missed opportunities of ambushing this guy live on stream. And so when I finally, they're like, okay, he's out there right now. I did. I got my phone out and I ambushed his ass and ran right up to his car, knocked on his windows. He had an earpiece in and everything. And I busted him. The whole thing lasted like 40 seconds. But I was like, oh, yes, please keep sending the PIs. Please keep sending the PIs. But, you know, I told you the other week when we were down here, we got rear-ended on the freeway. I don't mind telling you. It turns out the guy was a private investigator. He was driving a rental car.
Clearwater.
Well,
oh, that's really weird.
Clearwater, but, well, I mean, they don't know why me and Jenna Miscavige are coming to Miami. Usually their infatuation is trying to find out who's secretly in touch with us. What Scientologists are secretly in touch with the SPs, the bad guys, the suppressive persons. And there's no way for us to prove that that PI was working for Scientology.
Shot and killed here. There are going to be so many people online.
When I first started talking about Scientology in like 2007, that was like much more of a concern. Like they would like, I mean, they.
Do these journeys all happen in parallel to leave, where you guys are all kind of realizing at the same time, or are there different paths to getting out? Like, have like safety concerns? I don't know.
Do you worry about your safety?
Do you ever have like safety concerns? I don't know how serious, if there's like the Scientology hitmen or.
I think early on, like when I first started talking about Scientology in like 2007, that was like much more of a concern. Like they would like, I mean, they followed me for sure, like whether it was PIs or whatever. And like, you know, you hear about them like ruining people's jobs or like framing them for crimes. And yeah, I was really concerned about that early on. But I do think that like when I started speaking out about Scientology, I did have a certain level of protection just because of my name, where maybe it would be really obvious. Like that's the first thing you think of. And so maybe it would be too obvious what happened to me if anything happened to me.
Okay.
I mean, I'll tell you, like, as far as actual concern for physical safety, I would say no. But, you know, like private investigators following me around or sitting outside my house don't bother me. And since I do mostly YouTube these days, I'm like, please bring it on. I'll just turn it into content. It does not bother me in the least.
Oh man, I have a really just toxic, I think about that a lot, where it must be like a streamer brain or YouTube brain, but sometimes like I'll be in situations and things that be kind of weird, like, oh fuck, like how's this gonna look? Is this gonna be on stream or is this gonna be on YouTube or what's? I remember not to get too far into politics or whatever, but I had a lot of stuff with conservatives this year, and I obviously irritated a large amount of the audience. And I ended up getting I think swatted a few months ago, and all I could think about when the cops were calling at my apartment is like, if I get shot and killed here, there's gonna be so many people online that are like fucking so happy to watch this video, and like these motherfuckers better not shoot me, I swear to God. But yeah, that's like they're going through my mind, and I also have like I'm sorry, now I'm getting into psychotic behavior. There are times when I'm making decisions, and in order to evaluate if I'm making a good or bad decision, I'm trying to think like, if all of this blows up, what is it gonna be like explaining this to my chat? Because I don't feel like a fucking idiot saying like, okay guys, well I didn't think that this investor would have, like, if I feel real dumb, I should just not do this thing, right? And I think that's sometimes, but it's funny you mentioned the YouTube stuff.
Well, I mean, one time when I finally found out that, you know, my neighbors finally contacted me and they're like, this guy's been watching you and he's harassing the other neighbors. And I'm like, well, how long has this been going on for? And they're like, months. I was like, how come you didn't tell me? And they're like, oh, we just figured you already knew. I was like, oh, I should think all the missed opportunities of ambushing this guy live on stream. And so when I finally, they're like, okay, he's out there right now. I did. I got my phone out and I ambushed his ass and jumped right to his car, knocked on his windows. He had an earpiece in and everything. And the whole thing lasted like 40 seconds. But I was like, oh yes, please keep sending the PIs. Please keep sending the PIs. But you know, I told you the other week when we were down here, we got rear-ended on the freeway. I don't mind telling you. It turns out the guy was a private investigator. He was driving around a car. Well, that's really Clearwater, but well, I mean, they don't know why me and Jen and Scabbage are coming to Miami. Usually their infatuation is trying to find out who's secretly in touch with us. What Scientologists are secretly in touch with the SPs, the bad guys, the suppressive persons. And there's no way for us to prove that PI was working for Scientology, but PIs when they're on jobs driving around cars. What's the PI doing? Following us. And I guess he was looking at his phone because he rear-ended us at full speed. So you know, someone would be like, oh, it was a hit. It wasn't it. It was just, he was probably just inattentive driving. But like, it's just an example of, does it bother me that we were being followed, likely being followed by PI? It doesn't bother me. Do I think it was an attempt to endanger our safety? I don't really think it was an attempt to endanger our safety.
Yeah, but I think how you feel about PIs right now is very different than how I felt about it like 15 years ago when I was 21, and like there wasn't a ton of people talking about Scientology, so there wasn't a ton of safety. And I was also like I when I was in Scientology, I didn't talk to people ever who weren't Scientologists. So like I didn't know how to drive, I didn't know how to cook, I didn't like, the world was scary to me. So that would have felt like it wasn't like a funny thing for entertainment for me. It was actually scary.
That's probably helps you like. Fucking 6'4", you're a big guy.
6'1", but thank you.
I was like, I need security today. I'm gonna look this. Yeah. Well, do you think they try to get away from the Scientology branding? Because I don't even know how, but somehow I heard or I knew that Dianetics was related to Scientology. When I was walking through the mall in Glendale, I think they had the hand things and the machine, and they had, do you know what is the book called? I think it's just called Dianetics. They never said the word Scientology, and I didn't know if that was like intentional to not scare people up. Yeah.
It is. It's actually, there's a lot of policies written on that. In fact, churches of Scientology are supposed to have two separate entrances to the building. One is supposed to be the Dianetics entrance. The other is supposed to be Scientology. And that's because Dianetics is called Dianetics, the modern science of mental health.
Okay.
It's easier to market a science than it is to market a religion. And now that Scientology, you know, has full-blown religious tax exemption, they can't soft pedal the religion angle. They have to lean into, we're a religion. They have to lean into that.
I remember you, I think you mentioned on Lex that this came up as a result of kind of like tax classification, that they were saying, I think you mentioned that they said that, oh, you can be another religion if you want and be a Scientologist. And then the government was like, okay, well, you're not going to get your religious tax exemption status if that's the case. And they were
that's
like, okay,
right.
Yeah, okay.
That's right. Because that's one of Scientology's marketing gimmicks is they send their celebrities out there to be like, oh no, I'm also a Christian or I'm a Buddhist. And everyone, all the Scientologists are like, you'd actually get in big trouble for that. But most people in the public don't understand what the rules are in Scientology, and they try to make it that goes back to it's not a belief system. It's something you do. You don't have to, if you're an Orthodox Christian or Jew, you don't have, or even Muslim, like these days, the Nation of Islam has a partnership with Scientology. I know that's not real Islam. It's Louis Farrakhan brand Islam, but still. They're like, you don't have to give up any of your religious beliefs because Scientology doesn't require you to believe anything. It's just something you do. And so they tried to pull that with because that is their marketing gimmick. I mean, I know I said they have to lean into the religion angle these days, but that's one of the ways they do it is they're like, yeah, but it's not a belief system. So I'm sorry, but so in the IRS, yeah, they did try to say that same thing of like, well, you can be a Scientologist and any other faith, because they assumed the IRS would be like, how tolerant of you. Sure. But instead the IRS was like, that's not how religions work, sweetie.
Scientology has like many front groups as well, ways that they like sneak into the world where people don't actually know it's Scientology. Like they have Narcanon, which is like a drug addiction program. And it never says that it's Scientology, but it's based completely on Scientology. Or Criminon, where they go into prisons and help to reform people using Scientology technology. Or even businesses, like they have what's called Wise Enterprises, where people use Scientology organizational technology, but they never say that it's Scientology. They know that they would get in trouble for enforcing religion in the workplace. So they have, or they even have like human rights organizations that are just sort of fronts for Scientology and are really actually against psychiatry.
This is a lot of work for an organization that has 20,000 members. Seems like something's not working here.
Well, check it out. I mean,
they even have literacy programs that like...
They pay lip service to these programs, by the way.
Sure.
They're not heavily manned or heavily funded.
Sure.
But you also have, she mentioned, the Sea Organization. That's about 4,000 to 6,000 people who are working 120 hours a week for no money. So
Well, $50 a.
that's optional.
Oh,
you don't always
okay.
get that $50.
Yeah, there's always half
That's
pay.
if there's
and then
revenue.
half of half pay. Yeah, I almost
that's-
never got the full $50.
You're not, because it's not pay, it's just an allowance. They can cut it. And I mean, I would say over half the time I was in the Sea Org, we didn't get paid. But my point is when they have tax exemption, and also because of the tax exemption, they don't pay property taxes on their buildings, even these massive buildings. So the operational expenses of the Church of Scientology is water and electric and insurance, water, electric, and insurance.
And your mortgage, right?
No, they don't have mortgages. All these buildings are owned outright.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And so when you have a workforce that dedicated and that big, who can potentially work for free, you have a lot of resources to throw around, especially when a lot of these resources for what they call the social betterment activities or the front groups, total lip service. Most of it is done so that they can do press releases. Most of it is done so that when they're, facing a hostile reporter, they can just talk about all their human rights initiatives and their anti-drug initiatives and their criminal reform initiatives. When the truth is, Scientologists know the only thing Scientologists care about is mainline Scientology. Everything else is just for PR.
Do you ever watch horror movies?
I don't love them, but I've seen them.
Do you know who Freddy Krueger is?
Yeah.
Yes.
There was I think it was Nightmare on Elm Street 4. I think it was the Dream Warriors, where the kids like practice being like superheroes in their minds so they could fight in their dreams to fight against Freddy Krueger.
Sounds amazing.
They should have trained you guys to fight against the alien psychiatrists. Because then for some people, they could run towards the light because they would kill the dudes on Mars. That thought popped in my head for the Dream Warrior stuff. Forgot I said that. Okay, we'll cut that out. I'm just kidding. When you guys
about that tonight.
When you guys are ex-members, I imagine Scientologists, I guess they can either see you as like, we have to bring them back, or these are the biggest threats and these are persona non gratas. What is it, the latter?
Definitely.
It's the latter.
It's the latter?
Extremely, yes.
Yeah.
I feel like we're worse than psychiatrists at this point. Like you're not, like it doesn't matter if you were born there, you grew up there your whole life. If you leave and talk badly about it, like, there's nobody worse than you.
Okay.
I love using the Matrix analogy. I'm sure you're familiar with the movie.
Matrix? Yeah.
Okay, so is it Cypher is the guy who was unplugged from the Matrix, but then did a deal to turn, roll over on all his buddies and get plugged back in?
Mm-hmm.
So just imagine, like in that scenario, these guys are getting unplugged from the Matrix, so they're seeing the real world for the first time. And that's what Scientologists think Scientology is giving you. You're the only one that really sees the real reality. And so someone like us, we'd be like Cypher, where we already know, a Scientologist would say, we already know the true spiritual freedom that only Scientology can bring. Not only have we rebuked that, but we are making it harder. We're
For
preventing other people from getting it.
Are SPs part of the immortal spirits? Or are you guys like something different?
Everyone's an
Everyone
immortal
is.
spirit.
Everyone's an immortal spirit. Okay.
Yes.
So why are some of you guys, you said SP earlier, suppressive persons. What's their idea for where that comes from?
It's 2.5% of people on the planet.
Are truly dangerous SPs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And other people who do bad things are just like because because the suppressive people are suppressing them.
Okay.
You want me to give the technical explanation in Scientology for what makes a suppressive person as opposed to a Thetan that's not a suppressive person?
Sure.
Here's how Robert explained it. That sometime way back on the time track, or the whole track, as they would, the whole track is your past lives. You experienced some type of overwhelm that was as close, a Thetan cannot die, but it was as close to convincing a Thetan that he was as close to death as possible. And he's still stuck in that incident. We mentioned Dianetics. Dianetics has something called engram, the body of knowledge that L. Ron Hubbard called.
Do this in a better environment for, there we go.
Knowledge that L. Ron Hubbard calls Dianetics describes engrams as recordings of pain that basically sit there forever and reenact on you in negative ways later on. So this moment of almost complete overwhelm, it sits there as an engram. And the way that manifests in present time is that the person, the SP, let's just say me, the SP, I'm here in present time, but not really. I'm stuck back in that incident on the whole track. And everyone in my environment, I'm equating with the beings
The
or
enemy.
personalities in that incident that basically almost completely destroyed me. And so I see everyone in my environment as a threat to my very survival. So I am motivated by a desire to prevent anyone in my environment from getting any better or stronger, for fear that if they did, they would try to destroy me.
Can SP be saved?
Yes, but L. Ron Hubbard said, we have the technology to save SPs, but since they're making our job so hard,
fuck them.
We'll get to them after we finish everyone else.
Okay.
Now, don't ask me what that procedure is supposed to be to fix SPs, because he doesn't get into.
I don't know what to do here.
To that.
Sure. Wait, give me one microsecond.
What do we do here, Steven?
Now, don't ask me what that procedure is supposed to be to fix SPs, because he doesn't get into that.
Sure. Wait, give me. Wait, give me. Sure. Wait, give me one microsecond. Okay, so.
God. Kill me, Steven.
SPs, because he doesn't get into that.
Sure. Okay, so SPs, we'll get to you guys
Get
later.
off.
But there's
Give me 1 second here, actually. I'm just gonna see. Hey, Marvin. What you having for dinner? I just got back, so I don't know. So, like, you just got back from dinner? No, I'm just. Yeah, I haven't really decided yet. You haven't really decided. What were you thinking? Not sure. Probably gonna have it like in an hour or so. Because I ate like 2 hours ago. Yeah, no, I don't know. So I'll probably be right away here, but just trying to think. There's lots of leftovers, I guess. There's lots of quiche and wheat. Yeah. I think Sean's coming back soon to make spaghetti or something. Yeah, I see she's got some spaghetti something prepared. I'll give her a call.
a lot of like built-in beliefs in Scientology that that if anytime you leave, like they pre-train you that the only people who would leave and talk bad about Scientology, they're doing it because they did something bad to Scientology, and in order to make less of that thing or to feel better about themselves, they have to make less of Scientology. And everybody knows that if you leave, it's because you've done terrible things, because you're a criminal.
Mhm.
And so it's just pre-built in. So if you leave, they know you're a piece of shit.
It reminds me of was it early settlers? I don't know if it was Calvinism, believes in something called predestination.
Oh, wait. Okay.
And the idea was you're not saved through good acts, and you're not like nothing that you do on earth can ever lose you the ability to go to heaven. It's all like predetermined at birth. And the idea, like, if obviously you're in grade school, you're like, oh well, wouldn't these people just go around doing horrible things then if they know they're going to heaven, or they're not anyway? And I think the response I remember getting back from my teacher, and I'm specifying that I learned this in grade school because maybe it's all bullshit, like about 40% of what I learned in grade school, but the response back was like, sure, but they knew back then that if you were somebody that was going around doing bad things, it's because you were predestined for hell. So obviously everybody's trying to be as good as possible because they wanted to believe that they were part of the people that were predestined for heaven. So yeah,
That's how they get you.
yeah. When you look at people who are stuck in it still, and then you look at where you are now. Actually, wait, back up real quick. What was the journey out? Like, what were the moments that were like, okay, fuck?
You go first.
I mean, I think a big part of it was like sort of coming of age. Like, I think as a kid, I didn't know anything else. And so I believed everything that my parents told me, and I would take everything on good faith. But I think that as I got older and the more things that happened to me, because in the end I believed in Scientology because I believed that we were helping people. I believed that we were saving people. And basically just so many things happened that made it impossible for me to believe that the people in charge, or that they cared about people, and that and it was easier to think of Scientology as helping people when I would think of, the people they would say in faraway parts of the world that they like cured them of this and that. But when my friends who were with me every day and my family members were just getting treated like garbage and like being
Actually, it still, and then you look at where you, what was the journey? What was the journey out? Like, what were the moments that were like, okay, fuck?
You go first.
I mean, I think a big part of it was like sort of coming of age. Like, I think as a kid, I didn't know anything else. And so I believed everything that my parents told me, and I would take everything on good faith. But I think that as I got older and the more things that happened to me, because in the end I believed in Scientology because I believed that we were helping people. I believed that we were saving people. And basically just so many things happened that made it impossible for me to believe that the people in charge, or that they cared about people, and that and it was easier to think of Scientology as helping people when I would think of, the people they would say in faraway parts of the world that they like cured them of this and that. But when my friends who were with me every day and my family members were just getting treated like garbage and like being denied like basic things like sleep and like connection to their family, I think there just became a point where I couldn't reconcile that we were saving people with being total assholes just for the power of it.
Can I ask, because your uncle has such a prominent position, or maybe he didn't back then, was there no special care given to make sure that you wouldn't stray? Because it seems like, not to discredit or devalue your journey, but if somebody was going to leave any type of religious cult or anything, like late teens, early 20s is about the time that it would happen. Was there like special care given to prevent that from happening to you, or were you just treated like every other member, or?
So in many ways, because I was like always somebody who was seen as like, who would basically be bad PR or good PR for my family, I was treated like worse because I was constantly being interrogated and I was constantly like seen as a threat. And so like I was just like constantly being watched, and I think that I got the worst of it in that way because when my parents left, I was also a threat in many ways. They saw my connection to them as something that could be dangerous for Scientology should they ever speak out. And so you would think that they would be nice and do things that would make me want to stay, but that's kind of not their style. Like they kind of always just make things worse.
It is weird, right? Because you think it's kind of like, I'm going to take a slight digression, but not.
Should they ever speak out? Dangerous for Scientology should they ever speak out. And so you would think that they would be nice and do things that would make me want to stay, but that's kind of not their style. Like they kind of always just make things worse.
It is weird, right? Because you think it's kind of like, I'm going to take a slight digression, but not totally. One of the things in the media is, where's Shelley Miscavige? She's been missing for like 16 years, and that's her aunt. One of the things that you'd think of, some people would be like, oh my God, she's been shipped away and she's being mistreated and she's being held against her will and she's probably being abused and punished. And I've always said the best way to make sure Shelley Miscavige never wants to leave Scientology is to treat her like a queen, right? Make sure she never has any reason to want to leave Scientology. I feel like that should have been true for you as well. Like if they wanted to make sure Jenna never wanted to leave, they should have made sure her experience was amazing. And it seems so obvious, but Scientology just can't bring itself to behave that way organizationally.
Yeah.
So like I think there's small ways in which people perceive you were treated better, but in ways that matter, that was never the case.
Right. So maybe like some executives were nicer to me because they knew me. But in the end, I had like the same jobs, the same schedule, the same uniform as everybody else. And I would also be like isolated and interrogated for hours on end and wasn't allowed to speak to my parents when most people were. So I was moved away from my parents at a young age. And so a lot of that stuff was constant, and I was constantly under punishment because they always knew if I was doing something bad, they always knew about it, where nobody else got interrogated in that way.
That just seems so stupid to me, I guess. Like one of the things that I think I've heard you mention before is that because you're saving people's Thetans, because you're saving the Thetan, because you're helping these people, that you can, in a way, justify almost any action for the benefit of the church.
Oh, yeah.
So when you have so many people working full time, for $50 a week or half pay or half pay, it seems like there would just be people that should regularly be showing up to like present like a false like reality to you. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't be in some area and today your parents or whoever has you is like, oh, here's like 3 people from our what'd you say, Narconon? Yeah, Narconon program, and they're just like talking about how great Scientology is and that it saved their lives. Like, they should never have to brainwash you. It should feel very organic just because of all the people that they would be cycling in. So that just seems kind of...
the brainwashing is very much real.
Yeah,
like little briefings where someone gets up and is like, the world is dangerous and the world is scary, but here's something we did today. Like, literally bring in someone from who works.
Oh, okay. So they do that. Okay.
Oh, 100%.
But for me personally, so you know how I talk about getting interrogated? In Scientology, they believe that you leave because you do bad things. And so by them interrogating me, they believe that they are protecting me against leaving.
Okay.
Yeah. So in some ways, that's why they were doing it. They're making it so I would never have a reason to leave because my hands are always clean or I've always confessed everything. But without realizing that that's the type of thing that would make me want to leave.
Are the people at the highest levels, or like your uncle, are they able to make any changes or to like how the religion functions, or is it pretty set in stone?
I have different opinions on this than a lot of people. How do you feel about it?
I mean, I feel like in the end he can make changes and that he just has to sort of fudge it in a way where he can say that L. Ron Hubbard's original policies meant this, because he does that all the time with Scientology. He's like, oh, we found an earlier text where L. Ron Hubbard actually said this opposite thing. So he's kind of doing that all the time. So he could do that with anything he wanted to. And to be honest, I would have completely believed it as a Scientologist.
Okay.
Yeah, not only can he change anything, he has changed pretty much everything. And for all that I could say about what a con man and a liar and a charlatan L. Ron Hubbard was, David Miscavige has managed to make Scientology even more abusive, more draconian, more restrictive, more puritanical in weird ways. I do personally blame the internet and David Miscavige for the failure of Scientology, and thank God he's not able to actually admit he could ever do anything wrong, because I think theoretically it might be possible to like reverse the downward spiral of Scientology if it had someone at the helm who wasn't this crazy, had become this crazed dictator. I believe whatever's wrong with him has gotten more wrong over time. I don't think he was just always this way. But so not only can he change Scientology, he actually has changed almost every part.
Oh, what the heck? Whoops.
Segregated. That you leave because you do bad.
Always this way. But so not only can he change Scientology, he actually has changed almost every part of Scientology in meaningful ways. And yeah, he usually has to do it by claiming, now I'm only carrying out L. Ron Hubbard's true wishes.
How old were you when you got out?
Officially, I was 34.
Okay.
Now, she mentioned she left the Sea Org when she was 21, and for her, that was pretty much leaving Scientology. I left the Sea Org when I was 26, was still in Scientology, though. I stopped 3 years later in 2009. I pretty much stopped truly considering myself a Scientologist, but I wasn't officially declared a suppressive person and expelled from Scientology until 2014.
Okay.
And
That's because if you are expelled, if you're declared a suppressive person, then if you have other family members in Scientology, you can basically never speak to them again. So by being expelled, he risks losing his family, his wife's whole family. And so that's why many people stay in and pretend to be good Scientologists and don't say anything, because they have a lot to lose, especially if you've grown up in Scientology. Those are all the friends you've ever known. And in many cases, like, those are all the connections you have, especially like if you did not get an education, the only connections you have for work or things like that is through Scientology. So if you're expelled, you're basically like fucked.
Do you go to like high school or anything like that, or is it normal for Scientologists to be like all homeschooled in their own communities for everything? Or
the Scientologists do very much do homeschool, but there's also, remember, because there's so few Scientologists, they're mostly concentrated in a few key cities. There's a lot of little private schools in Clearwater, Florida, and the Los Angeles area for Scientologists. And the main reason...
Do you need like a accreditation or something to be a substitute for an ordinary public school? Do they just get that? Or because I thought you're like state mandated to get education up until 16 or something now.
So no. So these little private schools that I mean, they'll usually go through 12. K through 12.
Okay.
But like, so because I was in the C organization, I was in a, like, there are other Scientology schools.
Yeah, we didn't go to school.
Yeah, there's other Scientology schools that are like actual schools. But because I was in the C organization, what I was at, like the boarding school that I went to, basically they can do whatever they want. Like, there's no rules that for a religious private school that say you have to teach these subjects for this amount of time. Anything you do, including learning Scientology, falls under the criteria of education. And so like when I moved to Florida when I was 12, I only went to school 1 day a week, and there weren't grades. It was kids of all ages in one room. There wasn't a teacher teaching the class. We just all had our own lists of things to learn. And all of the rest of the Scientology training I did throughout the week was all counted as school.
Yeah.
When you both said you didn't go to school, so neither of you went to traditional K through 12, or?
I went to public school until the 6th grade, and that was it. I never got a GED. I never graduated. I never went to high school or anything. And she never even went to a real school.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm learning about school through my kids.
Okay.
At this point.
And even these private Scientology schools that exist, they're run by Scientology.
Hold on.
I went to public school.
You didn't go to school, so neither of you went to traditional K through 12, or?
I went to public school until the 6th grade, and that was it. I never got a GED. I never graduated. I never went to high school or anything. And she never even went to a real school.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm learning about school through my kids.
Okay.
At this point.
And even these private Scientology schools that exist, they're run by Scientologists. And Scientologists do not care about anything other than, can you read and can you write? Maybe do some basic math. because really these schools are just there to keep the kids out of public schools, because Scientologists believe they've just been infiltrated by psychiatry and everyone's just put on drugs in those schools. That's the main priority, is keep the kids out of the hands of the psychs. And then they just need to be able to read enough and write enough to be able to do real Scientology courses and join staff or join the Sea organization. And that's all these schools are there for. Yeah, and add on top of that, that Scientologists believe you've already learned all of these subjects a million times before in your previous lives anyway. And so they're you will not find us. I do not know any kid that's grown up in Scientology who went on to become like a doctor or a lawyer,
Right.
or
like college isn't prioritized.
I only know a few Scientology kids that have ever gone to college, because you go, well, why would they go to college? Instead, they just go do Scientology courses full time.
There's a shitty sitcom joke or something where some guy fucking is finally awakened and he has all his past memories, but in every single life he just went to a fucking Scientology school, so there's actually no knowledge to recall. And he's like, fuck, I need to change this.
That's great.
Well, and in the end, Scientology believes that like Earth and everything that's happening here is just a game that we're playing as spiritual beings to amuse ourselves. And so it's like, why learn all about that? Why participate in this pretend world?
It's just the Matrix.
That's how I feel when I argue politics on YouTube sometimes. I definitely understand that.
Yeah. Yeah, so like Earth itself to a Scientologist might be a prison planet, but even if you got out of Earth, everything else is still just a game. Like the physical universe is just Thetans having fun. There's multiple, like, hey, hey, let's give ourselves a bit of a challenge. We're going to level up, make this physical universe, and let's create problems. And L. Ron Hubbard's just, everything's a game. Everything's...
And Thetans are kind of seen as mischievous.
Little troublemakers, little rascals.
Exactly.
So I can understand you guys being relatively younger on your way out. You said your parents, though, got out when you were 16, so they would have been older. Do you mind saying what was the big shift for them? Or have you ever spoken with them about it? Because it seems a lot harder to leave if you've gotten that far in your life under that belief system.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I think like they had gotten to a point where they just like crazy things were going on. Like they were seeing like my uncle like beat people and stuff, and people were like the senior most executives in Scientology were like being made to like live in this trailer and sleep under the desks, and like we're just getting publicly humiliated like for days on end. So I think that when you're at the top of Scientology, like on some level, when you're a lower level Scientologist, you idolize the senior executives and you're like, oh, everything must be great there and they're figuring it out. But when you're at the top and you're seeing what's happening every day, it's easier to become disillusioned more quickly.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so like your mom, for example, like she's someone who worked directly with L. Ron Hubbard back in the day.
Right.
And so you've got a certain type of Scientology executive,
right,
most of which are gone, but not all of them.
Yeah.
Who they know what it was like working under the guy who really matters, which was L. Ron Hubbard.
Right. Yeah. And in the end, Dave is like some guy they knew who took over. It's like my dad's brother. He's like, I lived in a room with you when you were a kid. So I think it's easier to see him as a human, or somebody maybe who somebody else could have just as easily taken over Scientology. And so I think, sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, exactly. And so, someone like your mom is going to be less willing to put up with shit from Dave, who's being much more of a maniac than L. Ron Hubbard ever was. And this is supposed to be the L. Ron Hubbard show, not the David Miscavige show. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that we've ever spoken about this. Like, I don't actually know what was the tipping point for your mom wanting to leave. Was it real? Oh, was she going to go to the RPF? Was there?
I know that it was my dad that said, I want to get out of here. And she was like, okay, let's go. But I think like witnessing people being beaten was a big part of it. And just like, I mean, it was just like mayhem. Like people were like screaming at each other. Like I remember this one senior executive gal, Jenny DeVach, was like ripped my dad's like military bars off his shirt. And it was just like, everything was just crazy.
You mentioned going to the RPF. What was that?
So the RPF is called the Rehabilitation Project Force. And, in Scientology, when you've done the unforgivable, usually you just be declared a suppressive person and expelled. But for a Sea Org member, if they consider you've done the unforgivable. For a long time, for a long, long time, you had the option of being expelled or doing the RPF, which really is as close to a North Korean style labor and, you know, a brainwashing reconditioning camp that you could ever approach in modern day.
It's just crazy.
You mentioned going to the RPF. What was that? You mentioned going to the RPF. What was that?
So the RPF is called the Rehabilitation Project Force. And, you know, in Scientology, when you've done the unforgivable, usually you just be declared a suppressive person and expelled. But for a Sea Org member, if they consider you've done the unforgivable, for a long time, for a long, long time, you had the option of being expelled or doing the RPF, which really is as close to a North Korean style labor and, you know, a brainwashing reconditioning camp that you could ever approach in modern day United States, where for years and years and years on end, it's 5 hours of manual labor, 5 hours of interrogations and auditing, 365 separation from your spouse. It's no days off.
We're all black.
You run everywhere. Speak only if spoken to. Because you're considered not even a Sea Org member. You're considered lucky to even be here in any way, shape, or form. You have people on the RPF for 10 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. And your mom actually did the RPF at one point. Did it take her 2 or 3 years? Did she actually ever preach? Never finished the whole thing, or what?
She did it quickly because I think that they knew that she would kind of revolt if she was on it for a really long time. But yeah, she did do it very shortly before she left. I think that she was disillusioned for a long time, but I think my dad wanting to leave and being separated from me for so long and then seeing people being beaten just became the last straw for her.
Yeah, that type of violence is not something that, to my understanding, occurred under L. Ron Hubbard. Like, you'll hear the people who work with him closely, he had a huge temper.
Right.
And maybe that would include screaming and throwing things, but like Janice Grady, for example, I've never heard her talk about L. Ron Hubbard ever hitting anyone.
Who made Dave Boss? Why did that happen?
What's that?
Who made Dave Boss? Why did that happen?
That's a good story.
You can tell I never remember this.
What's that? Who made Dave?
About L. Ron Hubbard ever hitting anyone.
Right.
Who made Dave Boss? Why did that happen?
What's that?
Who made Dave Boss? Why did that happen?
That's a good story.
You can tell I never remember the specifics.
Okay.
It was when I was like 2. So.
Why did that happen?
That's a good story.
Who made what?
About L. Ron Hubbard ever hitting anyone. Thing that, to my understanding, occurred under L. Ron Hubbard. Like, you'll hear the people who worked with him closely, he had a huge temper.
Right.
And maybe that would include screaming and throwing things. But like Janice Grady, for example, I've never heard her talk about L. Ron Hubbard ever hitting anyone.
Right.
Who made Dave Boss? Why did that happen?
What's that?
Who made Dave Boss? Why did that happen?
That's a good story.
You can tell I never remember the specifics. It was when I was like 2. So.
What had
It's a good reason not to remember, yeah.
Yeah.
And I wasn't there either, but I'm a little more passionate about retaining this information than Jen is. She's like, I don't care.
Okay.
So the last like 6 years of L. Ron Hubbard's life, he was off in complete seclusion. Like, he was off.
Oh, who made Dave Boss? Okay.
Hiding, but he was working on his upper level OT research. There were only a few people that had any contact with him during that period. David Miscavige was not one of them. Okay, there was a couple, Pat Broker and Annie Broker, who were his 2 most trusted aides, caretakers. And so Pat and Annie were basically on the L. Ron Hubbard side of things. David Miscavige was, at the risk of oversimplifying it, pretty much handling the Scientology operations side of things, whereas Pat and Annie Broker were with L. Ron Hubbard. One of the things David Miscavige was supposed to be doing was getting rid of all of the legal threats against L. Ron Hubbard so that he could come out of hiding. And so his job wasn't to run Scientology, but because David Miscavige was sort of the point man to rendezvous with Pat Broker, like the only way information could get to L. Ron Hubbard was through David Miscavige and Pat Broker. So David Miscavige would be the courier of all the information, deliver it to Pat Broker. Pat Broker would bring it back to L. Ron Hubbard. When L. Ron Hubbard died, to the best of my understanding, and the people who were intimately involved in all of this, it was Pat Broker and Annie Broker who were supposed to be in charge. Even if being in charge meant selecting the new echelons of executives. Scientology was never supposed to have a single leader after L. Ron Hubbard died. This is where things get fun. We haven't spoken a lot in this interview about the bridge, which is funny because we're talking about Scientology. But
I mentioned it.
I know, but we haven't spoken a lot about it. We've talked about the upper confidential levels.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the upper confidential levels that Scientologists can actually do go up to 8, OT8. But there's upper unreleased confidential levels that are supposed to go up to 15.
Okay.
Okay. Now, us being good little Scientology soldiers, we always knew that all the Scientologists that we knew who were OT8 weren't nothing special. They're like, no, thank you. I don't want that.
There's a little thing in the back of your mind. You're like,
Like,
my
that's an
grandma
OTA.
is an OTA, but she's like She doesn't have any special powers that I've seen.
Sure.
Like, yeah.
But it was the belief in the upper unreleased OT levels. That's where the magic was.
Okay.
And they're marked on the bridge, even though they haven't.
They're on the poster.
done
They're
them.
there. Okay. Scientologists are told that L. Ron Hubbard finished these up before he died, and they're just sitting in the vault waiting to be released as soon as we get our shit together and make Scientology big enough. Okay. So Pat claims to have the upper unreleased OT levels. That's how Pat and Annie retained power for a couple years after L. Ron Hubbard died. David Miscavige sort of got sick of this being held over his head as some sort of leverage. One time, he orchestrated.
One sec. Let me just.
On the ranch, or the warehouse on the ranch where all these materials were held, literally saying the FBI's on their way. We've got to get the materials out or the feds are going to have the OT levels. They showed up with trucks and shotguns and everything. They took every scrap of paper in every file that Pat Broker had, and they went through everything. Nothing there. No upper OT levels. This is, to my understanding, the first time David Miscavige was even finding out. Oh, shit. It was all a lie. And you have to wonder what changed in David Miscavige. I wonder what changed in David Miscavige's mind when he's now having to come to terms with the reality that, oh my God, a whole big piece of this puzzle that I've always thought was there is not there. And what does that mean? Does that mean L. Ron Hubbard was lying about everything? How could he not start to wonder if L. Ron Hubbard was lying about that? What else was he lying about? So this is how Miscavige was able to get rid of Pat and Annie Broker. He basically threatened to report Pat to the IRS. So this is how Miscavige was able to get rid of Pat and Annie Broker. He basically threatened to report Pat to the IRS for all the money they'd been funneling to L. Ron Hubbard over the last 6 years and not reporting. He was basically threatening to throw Pat to the wolves. And Pat is still alive to this day. He actually, I shouldn't say what state he lives in. I can tell you offline. He's alive to this day. He's never spoken out. And one of the things that came out a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago now, is David Miscavige had paid a couple PIs over the past previous 25 years, over $10 million to follow Pat Broker around everywhere he went, to move in next. Basically, full-time surveillance on Pat Broker, because Pat Broker is one of the only people out there who could truly tell the story of L. Ron Hubbard and Scientology and David Miscavige in a way that would end David Miscavige.
How much is this guy worth? $10 million over 20 years? Jesus.
How much is who worth?
Dave. It's a lot of money.
Scientology.
Oh, he's using Scientology money.
Yeah.
The Scientology, is it really that well funded?
A few billion.
Okay, it's a
And
lot of
all
money.
the buildings they own, it's like
Really that well funded?
A few billion.
Okay, it's a lot of
all
money.
the buildings they own, it's like a real estate empire.
Where did it all come from originally? Just donations from members?
Scientology's expensive.
Okay.
You have to pay to do Scientology.
But the truth is, the most amount of money these days in Scientology doesn't even come from courses and auditing. It comes from direct donations. Miscavige has figured out how to squeeze a lot more money out of a lot less people.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
And then have free labor. So the people who deliver the auditing, they basically work for free as CERC members. But every course in Scientology costs money.
Yeah. So aside from the mainline mother church that is really concerning itself with selling Scientology courses and auditing, there's a separate side membership organization called the International Association of Scientologists, or the IAS. And Scientologists think of the IAS as like their war chest. This is so that when we have to take on governments and hostile forces, we need a pool of money. So about 20 years ago, the highest status that you could have in the IAS, like you get awards for giving money. 20 years ago, the highest status was only $250,000. Part of what Miscavige has done is he's like, man, that's small think. You got to 10x the game, bro. We got to get the Grant Cardone program. You got to 10.
Jesus.
How much is who worth?
Dave.
Status, higher and higher IAS statuses. So
You're getting really annoyed by Minecraft changing their command structure. Dude, it happens all the time. And it's going to keep happening. That's one of the reasons, it's annoying, but you have to think, like, one of Minecraft's strengths is the versioning, right? Like, there's a reason why a huge portion of the community commits to certain versions. And it's really just like, what seems like a weakness, and it's a really hard thing to work around, is actually a strength of code. It's the ability to like select what type of code you want to run. Instead of having something like the Overwatch engine, the Overwatch Workshop, which doesn't change and breaks, and then nobody cares about it, right? So we can't go back in versions.
He makes so much more money, and Grant Cardone is one of Scientology's biggest contributors, by the way. That's why I make the 10x joke.
Okay.
He's an
I do I do the same thing in my chat. We had tier 3 subs, and I was like, I got a lot of tier 3 subscribers. Why not tier 4? Fuck it. And then I got a lot of tier 4. Why not tier 5? Fuck it. If someone's gonna pay, why not? Yeah. Okay. I understand.
That's a
okay.
small thing, bro. You got to up your game.
Yeah. You got to up your game. Yeah. You don't want to be a tier 5, right? We had tier 6. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So Scientology makes all its money these days through the IAS and through direct donations to real estate projects. Their buildings. They'll say, we need a new building. You got to donate directly to the building. And yeah, like Scientology's not even in the business of selling Scientology anymore, hardly.
When you get out of Scientology and you're trying to like reassemble your view of the world, what do you do personally to make sure you don't just fall for the next thing?
I mean, I think that the first thing I had to do was to reevaluate everything I thought. Like, I was like, do I really believe that I'm a spiritual being? And yeah, that was like a process over many years. And what do I really think? To be honest, I was struggling with some of it when I was in there. Like some things that I just couldn't.
1 second.
They didn't sit right with me, but it's just something that's been a years long process. And I actually think in many ways that I'm less likely to fall for something else because I'm like so on guard. I know what it's like to have done that. Many people don't have they don't have the fear in them of falling for something else. And so, yeah, I think that I'm always like second guessing myself, probably too much. It's probably crippling, more in that way. Yeah.
The way I think about it, and honestly, sometimes I think there's just something wrong with me, is first of all, I really had I bought into that sort of self-brainwashing that we did as Scientologists, that we weren't believing anything. This wasn't a belief system. This wasn't a faith. And for me, I didn't have any sort of existential crisis or whatever when on any point in my path out of science.
God damn it. Hold on.
Was my belief in the upper unreleased OT levels and their existence and the state of full operating Thetan. I truly believe that L. Ron Hubbard had attained that.
And that would explain the many questions or many things that didn't
That's right.
pan out.
That's right. And when after leaving Scientology, because honestly I didn't even find out that those things didn't exist until I was already out of Scientology. But once I found that out, I was like, oh, that's all I needed to know. I'm good. There's no big crisis happening here. I think because I had convinced myself we never actually believed anything to begin with, that I never felt like I lost my belief.
I've definitely felt different, than that.
Yeah.
And I had like many crises going on at the same time, like sort of losing my beliefs and not knowing how to drive and having to get a job and having to talk to normal people who were sort of like muggles to me and just trying to be normal and like instantly having to make a living and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think that maybe it would have been more existential if I didn't have all those things going on at once. Oh, and also losing everybody who I ever knew. So maybe I would have had more time to like have a crisis if I wasn't having to do all those things. But it's definitely something that I thought about all the time.
And I get emails from people going through that crisis all the time.
Yeah.
You know, people leaving Scientology, one of the biggest things that they struggle with is who in the hell can they talk to about any of this stuff? Because you can't talk to your Scientology friends or even your spouse. They'll write you up, they'll turn you in, they'll report you.
Yeah.
And the idea of talking to a former Scientologist who's a big bad SP is almost unthinkable. Even if you're starting to question Scientology yourself, you're like, yeah, I'm questioning it, but if I connect up to an SP, that's like the point of no return.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I still get emails of like, I don't know, I'm going through this. The people do go through a crisis.
Yeah, and at the time, my ex-husband's parents were Scientologists, and so those were really the only Scientologists we would speak to, and they were very much in touch with the church, reporting back everything we were saying and doing, and trying to get us to go back and do what Scientology wanted us to do, and Scientology was putting a lot of pressure on them to cut us off or to get us back. And those were sort of the only people who would talk to about Scientology, although I did find that many of the new friends I was making, like when I would like explain to them how I grew up or what I was going through, like that they were very like in Scientology, I was used to just never being believed, and anything you say that's wrong or bad is just you complaining, and you're only doing it because you did something bad. You'd only complain about something because you were bad. It was very different to be able to talk to people who would actually like take it in and believe you and be like, oh my God, I can't believe that's happening to you. So on some level, that's more satisfying than talking to a Scientologist. And so I think that was really helpful. And that was something that I was slowly learning at that time. That made a big difference to me, that regular people in the regular world aren't just scary muggles. They're really nice, and it's okay to be nice to people and to believe them.
You know, Scientology has a word for non-Scientologists.
What? No, sorry, what?
WOG.
WOG.
And as American-based Scientologists, we had no idea that WOG is actually a racial slur in most other parts of the world.
For what?
Non-white, basically.
WOG.
Yeah. In Australia, it's a slur. In the UK, it's a slur. In many parts of, well, I guess it has
That's
to
why
be
I'm saying
English speaking.
muggles.
Yeah, and it's funny, like it's actually a very offensive slur in the UK, which is funny because L. Ron Hubbard would have known that. Like L. Ron Hubbard was based in the UK for a long time. It's like he picks.
Are there racial undertones, you think, to Scientology? Like, do they prefer certain races to other races? Or? No. I
mean, there's certainly a lot of racist Scientologists that I knew, but the truth is this belief in the immortal, spiritual, genderless, raceless, nationalityless being does not really inspire racism. L. Ron Hubbard himself
or sexism, really.
Yeah.
There's actually like less sexism in Scientology, I think, than out here.
The irony is that L. Ron Hubbard himself was demonstrably quite racist. I always say about as racist as you would expect a white man born in 1911 to be. He makes a lot of derogatory comments about certain black tribes and Asian cultures. But so that was the man.
Probably less racist though. Like he traveled the world. He's probably less racist than people at his time.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I wasn't there. But as racist as he was, I'd have to say Scientology, the information in Scientology is not racist, or it also doesn't even. I mean, it wouldn't even be possible. But having said that, given this belief in the genderless immortal thing, you also should be homophobic. But L. Ron Hubbard in Scientology is unbelievably homophobic in a way that just doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's because it has to do with sex. Like they're just anti-sex kind of in every way. So that's just another layer of it.
Yeah. But I guess what I'm saying, as growing up as a Scientologist, there was never any racial undertones for me.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, or racist undertones.
Okay.
Although it's unbelievably white. Like there's less than 2% black Scientologists.
Yeah.
And I know that's I ran for Clearwater City Council and I got all the demographic info for everyone living in all the Scientology properties.
Yeah. In fact, Scientology, like a lot of people come together from different countries and train together. Like there was a lot of access to different cultures and people from different places. That was more so there than in the.
Yeah.
I miss that.
It is one of these things though, like people bring a lot to their belief system sometimes instead of taking it out of it. I knew a lot of racist Scientologists who didn't seem to think there was some dissonance between their racism and the Scientology belief system. Politically speaking, Republican Scientologists will be like, Scientology is completely in line with Republican values, and liberal Democrat Scientologists would tell you the exact.
Hey, you got the paper, what, to be given to people without all the data, and it's killing you right now. You gotta dude, go to bed. Don't stress over too much. Enjoy yourself. It's all about having fun and learning stuff, you know? There's no, yeah. Anyways. Awesome, dude.
Thing. Just sort of cherry picking from what they feel is most important.
Yeah.
So I know there are a lot of people who would take issue with me saying there's not a racist component to Scientology, but that's just what I truly believe.
Yeah, and I think that component may have been like more prevalent in public Scientologists rather than people who were like in its core group, like Sea Org members, people who have been more affected by the politics and economics.
Yeah, but being gay in Scientology is one of the worst things you can be. I mean, that's right up there with like alien psychiatrist SP.
Yeah.
Okay, jeez, all right. As people who have left Scientology, what do you do for work, do you say?
I do YouTube.
You do YouTube, so okay. Do you guys ever worry about getting pigeonholed into just being not Scientologists?
I don't worry about it. So like she might do YouTube now, and I might mostly do YouTube now, but that's not been true since leaving Scientology.
Okay.
So like when I was in Scientology, I was in the hedge fund research space. That's how I know Bill Ackman.
Okay.
I worked for Bill Ackman. And then I got into real estate, and then I started doing YouTube years and years and years before my videos started getting any views or making any money. Okay. And you've done a lot of the work.
Yeah, but I have been worried about that, especially just growing up because of who my family is. I was already just always pigeonholed as like somebody who was the niece of the leader in Scientology. Like so feeling very much like I wanted to be valuable to the group just as myself. So I feel like after leaving, I mean, I had my own jobs. I think that when in the last few years I had my own business, and just because like I'm a creative person and I got to create my own business and create a lot of relationships that were just people who didn't know anything about that and people who appreciated me very much for who I am. I also in San Diego, I wasn't really a big part of the ex-Scientology community for many years, for like the last 10 or 12 years. So all of my friends and all of the people who I worked with were just people who just like me for me. But that was something that even coming back into it, it's something that I struggle with because I was always told in Scientology whenever I was dissenting, it was like, you just think that you can get away with that because you're Jen Miscavige. And so I'm saying that to myself in my mind, I think that people just want to listen to me because of my name and not because of my story. That's like the internal monologue that I'm always having that I have to overcome every day. But in the end, it's something like I left. I decided that Scientology was bad on my own. I rebelled from it, and this is my story, and it's unique. And yeah, so
There's a lot of when I look at especially people that were Muslims or ex-Muslims. Sometimes I see a lot of the content they make, and a lot of it is revolves around being like ex-Muslim. I wonder sometimes if it feels a little bit suffocating. That like, okay, well here I am to be the ex-Muslim guy again, where every single take I get is through that lens. And then I wonder sometimes it feels like you're pigeonholed into just doing. I'm not a Scientologist anymore. Here's why content.
I mean, I'm kind of asking for it because the name of my channel is Growing Up in Scientology.
Yeah.
Your channel is Jen Miscavige.
yeah, and I kind
She
of
doesn't even do Scientology content.
I do too. Mine is more about the stuff that I like doing now, and in the end, my way of coming at it, like it's about building a life that I didn't have, and so I can basically have anything under that banner, anything I want to do, anything that I'm interested in, and so in the end, everything kind of is about that because it's learning about the world and learning who I am without having to like fall in line as a cult member. So I can't help but have some of it be about that, but I don't know. I guess I'm using it in a way that's helpful and productive to me.
I'm gonna slip out of the stream because I gotta set up some stuff. All right, I'll see you guys. GG's.